I refused to let my in-laws take my daughter for Christmas. Now they're suing for custody.
How are you gonna get the law involved with my daughter?
Grandparent laws, dude.
Grandparent law is a lie. It depending on what state you're in.
I, 30 female, am the single mother of Clara, 2 female. My pregnancy wasn't planned. I had no strings attached relationship with her father, Jack, 30 male, for 7 months when I became pregnant unexpectedly. By the way, this comes from Apprehensive Mix 2025. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, he lived in another state, but would visit my city monthly for business reasons, and we hit it off after meeting in a bar. We thought about our options regarding the pregnancy, but I decided to keep the baby. Jack wanted to be a part of her life, so we planned to raise the baby together, but not as a couple, just co-parents. Unfortunately, Jack passed away during my pregnancy.
Oh no. That's
Wow. That's
Well.
crazy. Jack's parents, Linda and James, knew that I was pregnant when he passed. We had already done a paternity test at the time. We were all devastated by his passing, but of course his parents were destroyed by it. Clara is their first and only grandchild, and she's become their beacon of light in a dark time, as they say. Ooh.
There's no way this is gonna end with them trying to take your daughter away from you.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yikes. Why? How? How do we get there? Let's find out.
They have other 2 daughters, Ruth, 37 female, and Lily, 27 female. But they don't have children. Ruth is trying to conceive for a long time with her husband, and Lily is child-free and single. Jack's whole family lives in another state with the exception of Lily that lives abroad. They have family business, so their life is there, while I have my family and career in my current city, where I live with Clara. Since Clara was born, we have an agreement. Nothing legal, but we've all agreed with visitation for her grandparents and aunts. They usually visit Clara twice a month. James and Linda are the ones that visit the most, but Ruth also shows up sometimes. I really appreciate their presence on her life. Since the beginning, a point of contention in our relationship was traveling with Clara to their state. Oh my gosh, guys. Lock in, dude.
Huh? Lock in. Get the lock here. I got the lock right here.
I got it. I got it.
Lock it. Lock in. Turn the key.
Since the beginning, a point of contention in our relationship was traveling with Clara to their state. They have a big property that's in their family for over 100 years and have a family business too. In their small town, they are treated as almost royalty and wanted Clara to experience that. I understand that it's good for my daughter to know her heritage, but I also put my foot down on the idea of their traveling with her without me. I already visit their hometown 3 times with Clara since she was born, but this isn't enough apparently. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I had some issues with Linda meddling way too much on my parenting, but we were civil until I started my current relationship. I've been dating Ted, 34 male, for almost a year, and things are tense with James and Linda. Ted and I don't live together, and he has a daughter, Marie, 4 female, that lives with him. Linda has expressed disapproval to his constant presence in my house, which is not true. Both of us work a lot, and between our kids and other priorities, we are able to see each other 3 to 4 times a week. To Marie having play dates and sleepovers with Clara, and the list goes on. The woman will find a way to comment something even about Ted's car parked in front of my house.
Well, it's because she wants you to never move on from Jack.
Goodness gracious.
And was that was his name, right?
Yep, Jack.
It's Jack, not Jack or yeah.
Jackie Man.
Jack. Yeah, families like this are a nightmare to deal with. The old money. I've been here for 100 years or more.
Dude, come on.
Did you have a family like that in your town?
I guess my family's like that. We're not like.
You got the Sawmill. You're more like a legacy family.
Well,
you're not like the lords of the land. I'm thinking of like Yellowstone.
I'm thinking about
Duttons and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about the other like sawmill in our county, and they kind of are like that. Like they got sponsorship with the high school football team, and they're kind of like do. They're kind of like.
So you're
that.
like the everyman sawmill, and they're like the elitist.
Yeah,
like
in the family.
Pretty boy sawmill.
Yeah. Low key.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you're not from the pretty boy sawmill, Riley.
Dude, no. Yeah, no. Like one time I went there to get something and they overcharged me and also didn't tell me where to get the right thing.
Oh, bad service,
Yeah.
bad prices, bad service.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Anyways, things escalated when 2 weeks ago I got an email, Linda, James, and Ruth, an invite for Christmas Eve. Ted and I will have a get-together with our families and close friends. I decided to invite Clara's grandparents so they can extend Christmas Eve with her, but I also let them know that if they prefer, they can take her for lunch on Christmas Day. The next day, Linda texted me that they already had plans to take Clara to their home on Christmas. I said this was not happening. I didn't hear anything from her for about 2 days. Linda called me stating that she gave me 2 days to cool off and to be reasonable.
Bro,
Best thing to tell someone, calm down, cool off.
this her daughter. Be reasonable about her. You just made an executive decision about what her daughter's going to do for a holiday without consulting her mom.
But like, that's her grandchild.
Yeah, you're not the mom. It's a consultation at the very least.
I asked what she meant, and she said they have rights over Clara and that they had waited too much to take her home for Christmas. Now she is bigger and can travel without me. I said that was never discussed, and I will not let them travel with my daughter without discussing with me before. Linda said this was the discussion before the travel. I laughed on the call and said that she was delusional.
Ooh, was she trying to say that they discussed it years ago when the kid was born?
Yeah, they probably are making stuff up. You have 0 receipts, Shelbo. They have 0 rights. This is crazy.
I mean,
Why?
look, it's like clearly like the father of this child like passed unexpectedly.
This is
maybe,
their
like,
only
kinda tragically.
grandkid.
This is their grandkid.
Only
they
grandkid they probably will have for a while.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Theoretically, they could have a very positive, like, healthy relationship, even though Jack has passed. But, like, trying to just be like, nope, we have the rights as grandparents, and we're taking her for Christmas.
Goodness gracious.
That's not how you communicate as a person, but
Yeah.
that tracks for that, oh, our family's been here for 100 years, and this is, we have this, we have money, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's just how these people move. They're like, well, what do you mean? This is what I want, so this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Dude, low-key, I'm grateful for my cousin having kids because the stress of me having kids was lifted off my shoulders once my grandparents had a great-grandbaby. And now I might need to go back to North Carolina in April because she's having a second kid.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
For them.
I know, right?
And another little Wilson running around.
Baumgartner.
Yeah, whatever.
Or, I guess, Schrantz. You could say their last name. Yeah. Yeah, a little heathen running around. Sawmill heathen.
It'll always be a Wilson to me.
Yeah, well, so to explain it, sorry. It's Wilson, which was my dad's side, but, like, I don't really know a lot of my dad's family. But, like, it's Baumgartner, so it's like the Baumgartner family. I'm more of a Baumgartner than a Wilson. I just am a Wilson.
Will Gardner.
Will Gardner. Facts. You know what Baumgartner means in German? Tree farmer.
Ah.
Yep.
Ah.
Yeah, right? Ain't that cool?
That was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, no. Anyways, Linda said this was the discussion before the travel. I laughed at the call and said she was delusional. Things escalated quickly after that. I was accused of trying to replace Jack on Clara's life. And I also said some things that were a little cruel about Jack never meeting Clara.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, don't do that, dude. Well, you're taking shots at your no longer living
baby daddy,
previous fiance, husband, boyfriend, baby daddy.
No strings attached, baby daddy.
There was no boyfriend. There was no nothing. Really?
Yep.
Okay.
They hooked up, no strings attached. She let him know, and then he passed away before she gave birth to Clara. Where were you?
I was still warming up at the beginning of the story.
Like they said in Severance, where did you go?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Just wait. You're gonna hear it, and you're gonna hear my voice.
I can't wait. Oh, dude.
You're gonna hear that happen. You're gonna be like, "Oh, Riley."
I'm like at the point where I don't want to say anything for. I don't
Anyway, sorry. Severance comes out tomorrow night.
Welcome to the Severance podcast.
After Linda hung up on me, James called and tried to reason with me. They let it slip that they bought Clara's plane tickets 2 months ago without asking me first.
Dude, just a dummy move.
I said there's no way I would let them walk all over me. James lost his temper and demanded that I should apologize for Linda or we will go to court over this. I didn't back down and said they were choosing to fight over this, not me. Well, after some time of silence from them, I was served with court papers. They are suing me over custody of Clara and are stating that I am unfit as a mother. I already have a lawyer who I consult before our fight over the phone. She told me yesterday that they have almost 0 chance of getting any custody. Okay, after hearing that sentence, we're not even like a fourth of the way done. So, like, I feel like they do have a chance.
A battle will ensue. That's the thing. She says almost 0 because if these people just decided to throw millions of dollars at this, they could probably somehow, bankrupt OP from legal fees and then go, see, she's got no money. She can't be a parent.
Yeah. Yikes. And now I'm thinking about inheritance. Like, Clara's probably set up. If the 2 other daughters can't have kids, bro.
Who knows? These sound like spiteful demon grandparents, not gonna lie. They're just,
I need to make my will. The most they can give is visitation. But still, I worry about this becoming a legal battle. People in my life are divided. Part of them think I did wrong by putting up boundaries, and others think it's petty of me to start a fight with my daughter's grandparents when I could let them travel with her for Christmas when I know they are good grandparents and will take care of her. So am I the a-hole? Do we need clarifications, or do we want to say if she's the a-hole or not?
I would say she's not. I mean, I think that...
Only the a-hole talking about Jack.
Yeah, taking shots at their son, that's bad. But also they kind of put you there.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like they've just did this without consulting you, literally her mom. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
That's wild, dude.
That's at least a conversation.
Yeah.
You gotta be like, hey, we'd love to have Claire here for Christmas. Like, let's figure out something that works for her and for you, and we can, you know.
See, that would be too easy. Yeah. That's not going to happen.
Well,
it hasn't happened. I don't think it's going to happen for the rest of the story.
They're fermented by smoked oak caskets and old money, and they've been pickled.
They're stuck to the old ways.
They're just sour pickle people.
I love pickles.
Yeah, Keon would eat them alive.
I would.
We're going to get back to the story, but Sam, you have a copious amount of something.
What, John?
X's.
I have like 4 or 5 or 6.
I heard of 6 with a 0
All
behind
right,
it.
that 60 number, comes from somewhere else.
Where does that come from?
It comes from our Oakgate Storytime membership.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Join a club almost as exclusive as Sam's X is. Well, let's get back to the story.
Some clarifications are needed. How Linda and James know about the details about my life. How they know about Ted's car and Marie's playdates. They do live in another state, but they also visit very often. At least twice a month, they come to see Clara, and they come to my house to pick her up and to leave her after their outings. This is how Linda realized Ted's car in the front of my driveway, since I live in a gated community and it's forbidden for this type of parking unless it's a homeowner's car. The first time she saw this car, Linda asked if I would call the security to tow the car. I said no because it was Ted's car. They also used to FaceTime Clara 3 times a week. That's how they learned about some of their playdates and sleepovers with Marie. They called when Marie was still at the house with Clara and saw her. They expected my toddler to travel alone on a plane? No. I think I couldn't explain well enough. James said they would travel to my city, take Clara with them on the plane to their state, and after a week, they would bring her back. She was never supposed to travel alone for what they were planning. Do I believe they are going to kidnap my daughter? I don't know. I think it's possible. Some comments made me paranoid, to be honest. James said they bought her tickets back, but I don't think I should trust him without proof. Their words mean nothing now. Dude, I didn't even think about that.
I mean, that's probably not. They're probably not planning that. They're probably not planning that.
The percentage of a cow killing you is low, but it's not 0.
It's like a fact.
It's not 0, but like I'm pretty sure Claire would be like at some point, just like, I want to go home and see my mom.
Well, she's 4 right now,
right?
little.
But by the time you get to 4, dude, it's like you become very attached.
You
to your
do
parents.
know.
I don't know. You can play the grandparent game.
You do know it's statistically higher for a cow to get you more than a shark.
Yep.
Stop this.
No, seriously.
Well, yeah, of course it is, because I'm not swimming in the ocean where the sharks are.
No.
I'm standing on land where the cows are.
Also,
why are we talking about this? The point is...
Paranoid now?
I don't think these grandparents are going to steal the child, because the child is old enough to be like, I miss my mom, give me my mom. And once the kid does that, what are you going to do? Be like,
oh my God.
I'm not afraid of snakes. Did you know that? Snakes are actually... Most things, unless they can like make noise, they don't scare me. It's like the bugs that go bzz, they scare me.
Noted.
The bugs that don't, like I came across a tarantula in Albuquerque on a hike, and all the people I was hiking with like freaked out, and I was just like I was just like this. Hello, Mr. Tarantula. What are you doing?
No thanks. I am good. All right.
I'm gonna wear this.
Do I still have contact with them? No. My lawyer advised me to cut all visits, video calls with Clara, and communicate only with my daughter's grandparents through our lawyers. They are not blocked on my phone, but I will not receive any call from them. If they text me or email me, I'll have it sent to my lawyer. Trust me, today was all about making a FU binder and documenting every little thing. Thank you for the advice, guys, and don't worry much. Clara and I live in a very secure community with cameras and armed security. No one will take her from me. We got some relevant comments here. Number 1, they bought plane tickets 2 months ago without asking you. That's not planning ahead. That's delusional travel agency energy. You are Clara's mom and not some vacation rental that they can book an Airbnb with. OP, exactly. That's what pissed me off the most. Who does that with someone else's child? They act like Clara is their child, not mine. Yeah, true. Commenter 2, if I were you, I would get the most aggressive, underhanded lawyer I could find to drag their names through the mud. You cannot trust your child with them. They do not respect you. They are selfish and unreasonable bullies. Fight fire with fire, not the a-hole. OP says, my lawyer is a very fierce lady with almost 20 years of experience in family law. My sister is a lawyer and was her student in college. She immediately said I should phone her former teacher, and I did. Dang, she got the best.
She took the advice.
Even when your sister says, hey, call this person up, you know what's up.
You got it. Yeah, the inter-family recommendation.
Goodness gracious.
Inter-sibling recs.
Commenter 3, not the a-hole. This is your child. They have no right to demand anything, and you were kind enough to include them in your life at all. Do you have a security system at your house? I would be worried about them showing up. Opie says, I have a very good security system in my home. My dad made sure to supervise the installation when I moved to my house while pregnant. There's no way they will show up without being recorded. Commenter 4, not the a-hole. You have been more than kind in fostering a relationship with them. I am positive they will not get custody, but I am curious about grandparent rights. This is a thing in your country/state. If it is, I would fight to make sure all the visits are near you. It would look bad for them to take her and try and keep her away from you, but they already have proven to be shady and underhanded. OP says, according to my lawyer, since Jack has passed away, they have grandparent rights here in my country, but only visitation and only on the same city the child lives. She thinks there's no way they'll have custody, so this could make them have less access to her than before. OP clarifies details regarding the inheritance Clara has in her country after Jack's passing. Here, her inheritance is already secure and received. She inherited 50% of her father's assets and will receive his share when her grandparents pass away. It's the law.
Dang, that's a lot of assets.
Bro!
That's a lot of asset.
Dude!
That's a whole lot of asset. Dang.
Here, if you pass away without being married or having a common law partner, you have to live at least 6 months with someone to be considered a legal partner. 50% go to any children you have, and 50% go to your parents. In case your parents aren't alive, 100% will go to your children. The other way around, if you're childless, 100% will go to your parents if they are alive. There's no need for an executor here.
Executor. It's all right. It's literally the exact same as executor, but it's in this context pronounced executor.
There's no need for an executor for her to receive the inheritance, but I did put her assets on an investment trust to avoid issues in the future or accusations that I used all of her money. Dude, OP gets it, dude.
Do you see these? These?
Oh my gosh.
These are all the ducks in the row. That's where OP is putting them.
Holy cow.
All of your ducks
We're almost halfway there.
are rowed up. They row your boat.
We got an update, guys. 2 months later. Thoughts? Do you think they're going to kidnap her?
No,
I
don't think they're. And look, there were comments where it's like statistically, like it is, an abduction or a kidnapping is more likely to happen from somebody that you know or like a family member. But my thing is that I feel like the vibe is more like I don't think they're just going to try to swindle the child away.
Yeah.
I think they're probably emotionally reacting to this because it's like
They're only
the last connection they have also to their son.
True.
So there's a lot going into it with that. I think these are probably just people who are all hurting in a certain way that are like just not going about communicating effectively whatsoever. And also these people are clearly like super loaded and are just used to just getting whatever they want anyway. And so then this person being like, that's my daughter. Like, no, I'm not just going to have her go to Christmas if you don't talk to me about it at all. You could have talked to her about it months ago when you bought the tickets, and then it probably would have worked out. But because you were just being entitled and weird about it, it didn't. And now you want us to be, I'm going to sue you for your child. That's also not going to work out in the long run.
Keon, what do you think?
This is such a sticky situation that I want to see how it plays out, but I feel like OP is gonna get them away. But I'm surprised like they're not gone by now. Like this was all coming. Like you can see the steps and everything that's going on. I just don't understand. Like why are they trying to do this? So like why are they pushing so much?
Yeah.
For the do they not see that this is making the child not because it's what the child's for, right?
Child is not aware of any of this.
Child's not aware of it, but
Goo Goo Gaga.
It's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen sooner or later. They're not thinking down the line.
They're really not. They're thinking now, what I want now. This is what I want now.
And that's not the best mindset for all
Especially
situations.
when you're trying to establish a relationship like this long term. Yeah.
Yeah, they're literally blowing it immediately.
Yeah. More than 2 months have passed, and a lot has happened since. My life was really chaotic for some weeks, and I felt bad that I couldn't celebrate Christmas the way I truly wanted to because I was constantly worried about the custody lawsuit. I am relieved to say now this is all over.
Yes. And she won, clearly.
Let's go.
Hopefully she countersued. Also, to the ones worried about Clara, I thank you guys for being so gentle. To be honest, I think more people were nice and gentle than bullies, so I'm thankful for your well wishes from the bottom of my heart. Clara is healthy and happy. Luckily, nobody tried anything to take her from me. I know a lot of you said they could try and kidnap her. I'm still worried about it, but nothing has happened. After I made my post, I spent several days working with my lawyer, my family, and even with the home security company I hired to ensure that Clara was safe, all my security cameras were working, and that I had all the documentation needed for court. My lawyer and I prepared tons of documentations about me, Clara, and even got the backlogs of visitation in my gated community that proves that Ted has never spent the night here. My family were very aware about my fears of kidnapping, and they made sure to always be around us. I have to thank you guys for the incredible advices I got. I don't want to put too much weight on talking about haters because 90% of the comments and messages were truly nice and caring. I tried my best to listen to my lawyer, and many things you guys said we could do to ensure our safety. Not only that, but I talked to Clara's pediatrician, pediatric dentist, swimming teacher, and even my parents' church where Clara sometimes goes to kids' classes. They are all aware of the lawsuit and that nobody should give up information about Clara or me under no circumstances. That is so smart. I've never even thought about that.
What, like
if you're going
getting ahead of it?
Getting ahead of it.
Oh yeah, you got to do that.
And then also being like, yo, hey, if someone random asks about Clara, please do not share any information.
Well, yeah, it's crazy to think about that we grew up in a time where like that wasn't really a thing. Like anybody could have just like walked into my elementary school and been like, hey, I'm Dakota's uncle. And they'd be like, okay. Like,
yeah.
And then fast forward to by the time I graduated high school, it's like they basically had all of the schools locked down like reverse prisons.
Yeah.
It's like you're not getting in unless you know exactly, unless we know everything about you, you're not getting in here. So, but yeah, that's always, if you know that there's a freaky individual out there like going after your kid or something, or that they might, like definitely tell the place where they're going to be most of the week. Like, hey, this person might roll up.
Dude, Showbell, such an unfit parent, making sure that her daughter has fully well-rounded upbringing, surrounded by family and friends, also with a lot of security.
Get her out of there.
So unfit, dude.
Unfit, dude.
This is crazy.
Unfit.
Come on. Gosh. They are all on the same page and are giving us support and being understanding. Some people also advised me to speak to Clara's aunts to know if they're aware of the lawsuit and the possibility that their parents could try and take my daughter. I was not sure how to do this. My lawyer said that I could try to communicate with them, but all via text or email, so you can have like the receipts. Before I could do this, Lily, Jack's younger sister that lives in Europe, texted me to ask if I received Clara's Christmas gifts she sent through mail. I saw this up as an opportunity and wrote a text explaining what was happening with her parents. Lily said she had no idea about the lawsuit or that they wanted to take Clara for Christmas and fly with her on a plane. She said that she would speak with Ruth and ask her about this, since Ruth at the time was very distant from her family group chat. A day later, created a group chat to talk to me. We got some middleman going on here. I think what happened, Ruth went to Lily, yada yada. Oh, this actually didn't happen, and now Ruth is on Lily's side. That's a hot take. I'll see.
We'll see.
They asked to have a video call with me. I said I had to talk with my lawyer first. My lawyer agreed to me doing the call if they let me record it or make sure nothing would be used against me. Both agreed, and we had a video call that was enlightening to me. Ruth apologized to me for being distant from our lives over the past months. She was dealing with many personal issues, but had happy news to share. Ruth went through her third IVF round, and as of now, she is around 22 weeks pregnant with their first child. Oh, wow. She kept everything quiet. Wait. So Ruth is the other sister.
Yes, Ruth is the older
Lily
sister,
and
right?
Ruth are, okay. What's the mom's name again?
Wait, is Lily the one who's 37 or is Ruth the one who's 37? Lily's the older one?
Ruth is the older one. Lily's the younger one. Just Ruth and her husband Sam knew about the IVF proceedings and the pregnancy. She said this was because Linda used to put too much pressure and stress over times they tried IVF. Ruth was distancing herself from things that raised her anxiety levels, and her mom was a main source of anxiety. Her pregnancy is good news, but didn't surprise me, since I knew she was trying for a baby. I'm happy she was finally able to conceive. Here I have to explain that Linda is what people call boy mom. She never got along with her daughters. I had an inkling about that, but since I was not close to them, I had no idea how bad her relationship with her daughters were. They just seemed distant, and James was closer to her daughters. Yeah, we read a story about a boy mom yesterday.
I thought we promised not to bring
I thought
that
we
up
didn't
again.
talk about that anymore.
We mentioned it earlier for Sophia. Let her know to keep an eye on that.
Oh, and then she was like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Which is probably true.
Yeah, true.
If it was anyone, it was probably
And then
me.
she tried to accuse us that we said we're on the 5th story, but we're actually in the 4th. And then someone went back and was like, nah, you were wrong.
She's got all kinds of wild accusations she
Dude,
throws around all the
Tell
time.
me about it, man.
When she's off camera,
Bro.
she's no, I'm just kidding. No,
Nah,
she's
she's
wonderful.
great.
She's wonderful.
She's great. She's probably rock
She's
climbing right now.
wonderful. You're just
We
goofing.
love her.
You're just goofing.
We say good things behind her back, bad things in front of her. Ruth swore that she didn't know about the lawsuit until Lily called her the day before. That after this, she talked to her dad and to his best friend, who is a lawyer, to understand what's going on. She was surprised that James' friend didn't know anything about the lawsuit, since he is usually the lawyer representing them. James, on the other hand, tried to divert the subject when Ruth asked, but she pressured him, and eventually he folded and told her everything. James claims that he didn't want to sue me, but Linda's mental health has deteriorated to the point that he feared for her well-being. Does that mean you should go out and hire a lawyer then?
A lawyer or a sawyer? Yeah, I don't know. Get a lawyer.
What are we going to do with a sawyer?
Put him to work.
You know what sawyers do, right?
They're sawyers. Yeah.
They have big saw.
They work the saw. Well, yeah, definitely don't. You don't need a sawyer.
Yeah, no. But dude, that's wild. The only thing that could make her get out of the bed is Clara and the thought of having her around. He ignored that this makes Linda the one who's not fit to raise a child, not me. His plan was to pressure me with a lawsuit in order to make me to accept a better deal of visitation for them. They wanted more days with her and to be able to travel with her to their home multiple times a year. James never said that they wanted to keep her forever, but I'm not trusting on his words. My trust is shattered. Ruth and Sam tore James a new one for suing me over custody to manipulate me and for not forcing Linda to go to therapy. He claimed Linda doesn't accept the idea of going to see a therapist, as she is not crazy, and said that she would not go under no circumstance. Ruth had to threaten James that if he didn't withdraw the lawsuit and get the help Linda and him needed, she would go no contact and resign from the family business. Whoa.
Uh-oh. Now you're messing with the family logistics. Ooh.
She was very worried about the idea of doing the same to Sam in case she passes away and their child is left with their husband. James kind of broke after this and caved to Ruth's demands. After my call with Ruth and Lily, I was under the knowledge that the lawsuit would be terminated.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
Unfortunately, in my country, from the 20th of December until the 20th of January, the courts are on break and they deal with emergency cases. Mine wasn't. Their lawyer reached out to mine to talk about the end of the lawsuit and about writing a visitation agreement that the family court would approve. We agreed to work on this, but I would only sign any visitation agreement after they had withdrawn their lawsuit for custody and if only they agreed to follow my rules. Fair. I don't see anything wrong here.
Sounds fair to me.
Yeah, this is what a very fit parent would do.
Sounds like you have more than ample proof that you are, in fact, a good parent.
Yeah, dude. And dude, crazy that they try to get Clara while like Linda is not in a good headspace whatsoever.
Now, it's like, and it just, again, it totally tracks with this whole, with what it seems to be the vibe of their family history and their background, where it's just like, we get what we want. We don't care why or how, or if it's even good for the kid. All that matters is what we want.
Exactly. For what I know, after being pressured by her whole family, Linda eventually accepted to start therapy, and she's seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist. She was diagnosed with depression and PTSD related to Jack's death.
That's fair. Yeah, again, which is what I would say. It's like there's a lot of complicated emotions going into this.
Exactly. I know this because my lawyer demanded that her doctors had to put an evaluation of Linda's mental state in order to our legal agreement for me to accept a visitation deal with Clara's grandparents. I never said here, but Jack's death was sudden and violent. He was a victim of a robbery gone wrong.
Oh,
Dude, I thought it was a car crash.
God. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it was tragic. I didn't think it was a crime.
Dude.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Dude.
That's wild. All of us were shocked about his passing, but Linda and James took the brunt of it. I always felt they didn't mourn enough since they switched their attention to my pregnancy a few weeks after his passing, and I was right to think that. In our visitation agreement, I also demanded that both James and Linda have to go through grief counseling, to which they agreed a number of sessions. Me, James, and Linda are attending virtual family therapy for the first few months of our agreement to make sure we're all in a healthy space to deal with our relationship and put Clara's well-being first. Regarding to this, I have nothing to complain about. They accepted my terms pretty easily. They did try to fight against the idea of supervised visitation, but I had no reason to accept otherwise. Now they will visit Clara twice a month on a family center in my city. This is something my country has, is a public building where things related to custody of minors and family problems regarding custody are handled. They have very good security there. Visits will be supervised by a social worker who was assigned to our case by the judge that signed our visitation agreement. About my fears of kidnapping, I'd say I didn't feel validated by my country's laws. Basically, me and my lawyer went to a police station and we did an occurrence about the possibility of a kidnap. They didn't seem to take this seriously. As of now, they will not press charges. Why would they press charges?
Well, I mean, yeah, no one's been kidnapped.
They probably, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
well, they're not like, did they give you advice or were they just like, stop bothering us?
Well, whatever advice if they gave you the advice to do whatever you've just done, then that was great advice, because I feel like where we're at now is perfect.
Yeah.
Your lawyer is doing exactly
the
right thing, and it's like
lawyers.
These people need therapy and guidance and supervision if they're going to continue to interact with this child, which it's probably for the best that they do. It's like, you know, I've have a lot of good memories with my grandparents. Grandparents are an important part of a kid's upbringing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. But dude, I don't think you need to go to the police station. You're in a gated community. You got cameras up. You got family that's close.
At this point, it seems like we're back on the rails. Everything's on track. We're understanding each other a little bit better. And I think with some time and doing the therapy, it's like it could be a healthy dynamic and a healthy relationship for all parties involved.
If you really want to know where they're at, put GPSs in their cars.
I don't think that's legal.
That's true. If you want to know where someone's at, you track them. You LoJack them.
Just do the trusty thing and be like, find my friends.
At least there's paperwork. What? Find my friends?
Share your location with everyone. I expect to have your location immediately.
Speaking of, you don't share it with me.
Yeah, you share it with me.
Uh-oh.
I'll do it. Fine. I'll do it.
At least there's paperwork regarding my fears. James ended up sending my lawyer Clara's plane tickets to prove they bought her 2 tickets and were not planning on staying with her. Since they have money, I don't think it would be hard for them to buy a ticket back knowing they will not use it. So I'm still not trusting or believing them. I don't have plans of letting them visit Clara without supervision. Even their aunts know that to see Clara, they have to be supervised too. Everyone is accepting of this right now, and the visits have started over a couple of weeks ago. Let's see what happens in the future. I also don't intend on traveling to their state or city in the near future. I'm truly scared about the chances of them using their power to take my daughter, so I will not make it easier for them. And you can make it easier for yourself if you go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and boom, there will be a plethora of stories just like this one. And yeah, go there.
They might even be juicier than this one, although this one does have a lot of juice.
It's like her doubling down.
A lot of mellow juice.
This is the play-by-play, what you need to do to make sure your child is safe.
Truly, yeah, this is a great blueprint. Like, I expected this to be a lot worse. I expected this to be like the lording in-laws would be, well, in-laws, I don't know. What would you call them? They never got married. But yeah, I thought they were going to leverage that money and just like try to steal that baby.
Parents.
But they didn't, and they're just hurting. And with some therapy and some, some social services, I think this will all work out in the end. I think everyone can be happy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Last little bit. Thank you again for all the well wishes. As of now, Clara and her mama bear are doing well and enjoying a couple of days I take to spend the quality time together and finally celebrate, since our Christmas was very stressful. Oh my gosh. I'm done with this story. I think she's just like talking about.
What do you mean?
She's just talking about her lawyer's recommendations. I think we should read another story.
What? No,
she's just doubling down.
I need more.
We already got it.
No.
What else do you need? Well, she's just
more?
talking about how she's doubling down with her lawyer and all the steps that she's taking. But like, there's nothing else to really talk about here. Let's read another story.
Okay.
But guys, that's it. That is that story. We have another one coming up right now.
My boyfriend wants me to be a traditional wife. I refused.
Looks like he's going to have to go window shopping somewhere else.
That's right, brother. Throwaway for context, I, 23 female, left the country 2 years ago just after college graduation. I also broke up with my ex, 24 male, because I didn't want to do long distance and our beliefs didn't align anymore. Well, that sounds emotionally mature.
All right.
We both come from the same culture and dated throughout college, but while I wanted to move abroad and study further, considering the safety of women in my home country, his plans were that he would stay and take care of his family. We were both the eldest children of our families. By the way, this comes from user GarageFuzzy4367 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Neither of us was technically willing to adjust. However, what made me dump him was that he just turned into a different person in the last months of the relationship. He wanted me to act like a traditional woman if we were to have a proper family. He would constantly say things like, women have been historically adjusting for their loved ones, and can you say every single woman was unhappy about it? And why are you so selfish? Does our future not matter to you? Do you trust me enough to take care of you? And all of that stuff. Heck, he even got his mom and sister to call me and tell me if I was ready for them to talk to my parents about marriage. Luckily, my dad handled it because rejecting matches, especially if the couple dated beforehand, would cause a scandal in my community. It felt like I was the one who had to sacrifice my happiness in the first place because of tradition. I also didn't grow up in a conservative family like him, and my parents told me to get the heck out of the relationship. I broke up with them, and our friend groups were merged, but everyone decided not to take sides, so there was no drama.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
I have been single for the last 2 years and have traveled a lot, and I plan to get residency after a few years here. This was the first time I went back home after 2 years because my cousin just had a kid. I did not intend to see or call my ex, but I met up with my college friends, and most of them, including my ex, live in my hometown. So I knew to see all my friends, I had to see him. It was so awkward, but we were both silent and just nodded at each other, and I thought that would be it. But one of his friends started talking about his fiance, and he is a bit of an a-hole, so he said, OP, I'm so glad you left your ex behind because you didn't want to be happy in our traditional families. Now another will get to experience the real meaning of family, a joint Indian family. I just laughed it off awkwardly, and a couple of people shushed him. My close friends were very embarrassed and promised that both my ex and that guy would not be invited over again. But my ex left me a text. He got a second number on how his friend was just defending him because I was flaunting my new life when I obviously wanted my ex to be hurt by it. That I dumped him for just a better degree.
As she should. This guy stinks.
If y'all don't share the same values, y'all don't need to be married.
I hate that it was super mature at the beginning and now it's turned into this.
No, it sounds like she's mature and he's not.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, she has the awareness to be like, hey, this just wasn't working. And he's like, you're just showing off that your life's so cool without me.
Yeah, he's looking at her Instagram, super sad.
I told him this was why I left you and I blocked him. Boom.
Boom.
The thing is, I have been guilty about it for the last 2 years. And while I know I did the right thing for my career, maybe I should have tried not to hurt his feelings in such a direct way. I feel horrible for his fiance, as both of them know he doesn't love her. It's an arranged match. And I feel had I had a better approach, maybe another person wouldn't have been added to the mix. I feel like I was just a heartless person, as my ex says, in dumping him as I did, just because of our different beliefs. am I the a-hole?
No. There's this thing called gaslighting, and you are the victim of it.
I'm going to read you back exactly what you said at the beginning of the story. Let's see. Yes, I left the country 2 years ago after college graduation, and I broke up with my ex because I didn't want to do long distance, and our beliefs didn't align anymore. You know what you want. You know what you don't want. You don't want this guy or his beliefs in your life, so it makes perfect sense for you to break up with him.
And you want to travel, and you're celebrating that through your Instagram, and he's just jealous that he's not there.
Yeah. And if he wants to be, if he wants to throw accusations at you that you're purposefully trying to hurt his feelings, you have every right to be like, no, I'm not. And this exact behavior is why I don't think we would ever work.
I've made a promise to myself that I will never look at my ex's profile whenever we broke up. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself to it.
Yeah, not stalking your ex is definitely a good way to not torture yourself. I wasn't going to do an update. I just wanted to ask the internet, which is a stupid place to go, I know, but I needed a neutral opinion because people around me either hate my ex or hate me. I'm still at my parents' and I told my dad what happened in the gathering. He chalked it up to my ex being jealous and insecure, and he told me not to interfere and feel sorry for his fiance because if she is marrying him, then she must know what she's getting into. I mean, that's not necessarily true, but at the same time, it's like, it's not your responsibility, OP.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with the dad.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like him being insecure, like a little baby, is like a perfect example of why you don't want to marry this guy.
And you saw that and you clocked that and you got out.
After blocking my ex a couple days ago, I actually managed to have the courage enough to ask him through a mutual friend to meet me. Again, I didn't go alone, and our mutual friend was there the entire time in case there would be a shouting match or a scene. We never had any closure after I broke up with him. I just left. And even though I told him why I was breaking up with him, I never addressed all of our problems. And when I fell out of love and how he started to feel like a suffocating presence because of his judgment towards my life choices. We met at our friend's house and he apologized for his friend and he said his friend was just being protective. I said I didn't care and that I was sorry if I hurt him so badly that even after getting engaged, he was mad at me. And that was kind of like low key. You're like, yeah, sorry I made you so mad you can't forget me.
It's like a dagger in between the ribs.
I know many people may call me a doormat for saying sorry, but I did it for my peace of mind. I don't want to keep any regrets, not from my side. Can we please normalize prioritizing our peace of mind instead of like winning or losing? Just whatever makes you feel the best and doesn't hurt anybody.
Dang, get this girl on a TED Talk. How to break up 101.
My ex did not scream, but he looked agitated and spoke for a while, and I listened. His main problem was not with me dumping him, but the fact that I have always flaunted that I was out of his league. For context, my family is technically well off, and my family has mostly liberal people. So not only are children in my family not taught that much gender roles, most relatives, including my parents, never approve of their kids marrying into a religious family. How that made me flaunt anything, I still don't get. To sum it up, my ex said that I made him feel like he was never good enough for me to marry him. I certainly didn't love him enough or I'd compromise, and he has only felt inadequate our entire relationship because I acted like I was too good for his joint family, where wives and mothers are still expected to wake up at the butt crack of dawn because women. Why are you flaunting your autonomy? You need to be waking up early and doing my chores.
Yes, you need to cook me a sandwich.
It hits different when you say cook me a sandwich.
Yep. See, I'm not misogynistic. I don't know how to say ask that of a woman.
I feel like it's actually even more misogynistic because you don't even know how sandwiches work. He also said that his fiance will always respect his mom. I've never disrespected his mom, to be clear. And his mother said ultra-modern women don't make good wives. You're just dodging a bullet here.
Yeah, because they make good people.
He also told me that he felt like I keep on flaunting a picture-perfect life abroad, and he felt awful because he lost me because he wasn't born as privileged as I was, and he was stuck here. I didn't feel like I needed to explain anything more to him after he was done speaking. It was okay. Honestly, it's kind of relieving that he is a bit of a red pill idiot and that I hadn't caused actual damage to a genuinely good person. But by the way, we never want to cause any actual damage to any of you good people when you join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile and you're in, and we might even be live right now. But before you check on that, though, let's finish this story. For everyone watching, exactly what OP said at the beginning of the story is like a perfect example of how to determine whether or not you want to be with somebody, right? If you don't want to be in a long distance relationship, but you'd have to be long distance, And if you do not share the same values as the person that you're with, and you can see down the tunnel that like it's going to come to a head and y'all are never going to agree on that stuff, it's not a good enough fit to get married. Now, can you like casually like date somebody like that? Like, sure.
Oh, yeah.
But getting married to somebody like that?
That's the reason why people date, to determine that they want to marry someone.
Right.
And she did that. And she did that well.
You date to determine what you like, what you don't like, what are your values, what do you want someone else who will be your partner's values to be? You know, it's not like you have to date a carbon copy of, you know, your own thoughts, but like you need to align on certain things.
Yeah.
And I think clearly the way that he viewed women was not anyway aligned with
How
you
you view
or your
women.
family's views.
Yeah.
So good job, OP.
Good freaking job.
The only part that stung was when he said I had a picture-perfect life abroad because I don't have that. It's a new country, a new culture, and a new language. And while the quality of life may be more, and I have my good days, that doesn't mean I don't struggle. I miss my language, my home, and my parents a lot. Just because you post selfies of places doesn't mean life is all sunshine and roses, unlike what social media thinks. It was relieving, ultimately. I don't think I even know what closure actually means, and technically, I'm doing good in life, all things considered. I will be okay, mostly. Thank you, guys. You were all very nice in the replies. And that is the end of that story. I told my niece her boyfriend doesn't love her, so she cut ties with us.
Ouch.
Ooh. Background. I, 42 female, have always been close with my niece, 21 female, and have always been honest with her. 2 years ago, she started dating a useless waste of space. I struggled to even call him a boy because that would be an upgrade for this pathetic, walking, talking cell mutation.
Dang, you really don't like that guy.
I think I might know why she might have turned on you instead of her
Yeah.
boyfriend. By the way, this comes from user Kate Washington on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, almost from day one, she has been crying to me, her mother, my sister-in-law, her grandmother, my mom, and her sisters about his poor treatment of her. Then in August of 2023, she decided to bring him up to a mini family reunion to meet about 15 family members. He walked into the house and immediately headed to the basement where he stayed all weekend. He didn't speak to us, spend any time with us, introduce himself to us, or allow us to get to know him in any way. This occurred over 2 nights and 3 days. On the final day, when he did grace us with his presence, he walked 20 feet ahead of us at a festival, including my niece, and refused to hold her hand when she tried to catch up to him and walk with him.
He sucks.
So yeah, we'll throw this guy into the Orc Cloud.
He's
call
a
it
walking,
day.
talking cell mutation.
Yeah, the walking,
It was
talking
accurate.
cell mutation. I told her then and there, you only get one chance to make a first impression, and he showed all of us that he's just not that into her. He's rude, careless, abrasive, and disrespectful. Bottom line, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay, Maya Angelou. She told him I said all of these things, and I became the bad guy.
Oh.
Over the past 16 months, he has not attended a single family function or holiday and said it's because our entire family disrespected him. Bro, you disrespected them by
Yeah.
living in their basement
You
without saying
sucked.
anything to them.
You disrespected them by being a terrible person and being in their presence.
We didn't take the time to make him feel welcome when he tried to visit us, and he doesn't want anything to do with any of us. I asked him what we could have done that weekend to make him feel welcomed, and he said, I don't know. That's not for me to say. I can't tell any family how to welcome someone. That's for you to decide. So I said, yes, you can, because you're the one claiming you didn't feel welcomed, and we're trying to welcome you. So how do you feel welcome? And as you might have guessed, crickets. Nothing to say to such a sensible question. Yeah, this guy is not only is he callous
He's so
and disrespectful, he's an idiot.
he's so loquacious.
So my niece has repeatedly cried to me over the past 2 years, citing the following issues. Joey told me that he doesn't want to be with me.
Oh, Joey's texting other girls.
Joey says I don't know who I am and he can't deal with that.
Joey says my family's too messed up.
Even Joey's mom says I don't deserve how he treats.
Joey's in a group chat with his family, and he keeps talking bad about me to them. And when I ask him to stop, he tells me that I'm not anything he wants with his family, and I need to mind my own business.
Joey lets his brother come over with some girl to have spicy sleep with her so she can cheat on his wife, and I told him I'm uncomfortable, and he said that I can leave if I don't like it, and that his brother's more important than I am.
Joey says lots. Joey is loquacious.
That barely breaks the surface on the things she's reported. He won't let her sleep because she has to stay up texting him all night. Fast forward, guess who's pregnant?
No, it's Joey.
It's Joey!
Joey's pregnant, and it's yours.
I'm Joey. I'm pregnant. My niece, and not Joey. Because a baby will turn a loser into a man. Lots of history to prove that's true. She reports that he tells her to terminate the pregnancy. She's upset and calls her sister crying. Tells her mom that Joey said if she doesn't terminate, he's breaking up with her. What a classy dude. I tell her that I'm there for her and we will figure it out and she can come to me whenever. That pisses the chivalrous Joey off because I'm disrespecting him by being there for my niece. Number 14, actually 15. And a black hole for Joey.
Black eye and a black hole.
I stop hearing from her. However, they decide to keep the baby and play house like grown-ups. Fast forward to this.
Whoa.
Fast forward to this weekend. I see her, my niece, for the first time in 2 months. I tell her that I've been texting her, but she hasn't been responding, and I ask her if everything is okay and that I want to throw her a baby shower. She tells me that her phone has been turned off for 6 weeks because she couldn't pay the $140 bill, which has since doubled, and with the reconnection fee is now $320. Her dad, my brother, offered to get her a phone on his plan, and she declined because Joey would have a problem with it. Oh,
Joey would have a problem with you paying for my phone bill.
I asked her why Joey didn't help her pay her phone bill, and she said she didn't know. I explained that there is problems with her being pregnant and having no phone, and a man that loved her would have a problem with that, and make sure that she had a phone with her, and perhaps this is why we wait to have kids with Mr. Right, a.k.a. husband. She said that the bill was over $300, and I pointed out that it didn't get that way overnight. It was $140, so why didn't he pay it when it was that? He lives with mommy and daddy, drives a beater. He couldn't sacrifice his devil's lettuce money to get you your phone bill paid? Sorry, but he don't love you. She said he helps me with other stuff, though. When I asked what else he helps with, she couldn't articulate a single thing. I asked her if she asked for help with the phone bill, and she said no. I asked her if she planned to ask for help with the phone bill, and she said no. I said, if you're too scared to ask for help with your phone bill, isn't that your sign that you aren't in a relationship with the right person? This is a very basic thing to go to your partner with. She got very upset with me. She immediately went back to Mr. Loser and told him everything I said, gave him my number so he could call me from his working phone to yell at me like the respect-earning man that he is. Everyone knows the most respectful gentlemen are the one that call your family and yell at them directly.
Unfortunately, she is kind of so stuck in this relationship, and even her mindset is stuck in like, oh, I need to be with Joey, that you could tell her anything and she's not going to hear it unless she chooses to. Unless she takes herself out. Yeah. Which sucks.
He told me that I'm not going to have anything to do with my great niece and to stay out of their lives. He said that he's doing the best he can. Well, if the best he can isn't able to afford $140 a month, I'm not sure how he thinks he can pay for a whole human being in a few months. Then he asked me why I didn't pay her phone bill. Your family. You're the man, according to you at least. You pay for it. You figure it out. And by the way, I want y'all to figure out that if you enjoy listening to stories like this one, you can listen to a plethora of them. All you have to do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime.
Nailed it.
And you can listen to us for days.
Days.
For weeks. Years. Potentially, yeah, I don't know. Does someone have the exact number
Centuries.
of hours? My niece won't talk to me. Ugh. She also isn't talking to most of our family because Joey has convinced her we're all bad for her and he's the only good thing in her life. He's isolating her and following the abuse checklist to a T. So am I the a-hole for being blunt and upfront with my niece and constantly pointing out that her boyfriend doesn't love her? Should I have just kept my mouth shut about the phone like the rest of the family did, even though they all admitted thinking the same way? I was just the only one to say it out loud.
I mean, I don't think that you're the a-hole. I think that there would have been, you were trying to help. Unfortunately, she's not in a position where she can hear it.
That's the hardest part, is she can't hear it.
She can't hear
She's
it.
going to have to hear it come out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do some like tricky private investigator work right now, or like something. You need to be able to record Joey being like, and I don't even care about this broad. I'm just...
I
she
think
wanted
even
me
if
to
he
pay
said
a
that,
phone bill. I said, ugh, gross.
I think even if he said that, she wouldn't believe it. I think she needs to get herself there somehow. I don't know how, but like she needs to get herself. Maybe when she has a kid, she'll snap out of it, but like we don't.
Comment number 1 says, not the a-hole, but don't give more energy than you're willing. Your advice is falling on deaf ears. You've said your piece. It's up to your niece what to do with it. It seems like she's got some thick rose-colored glasses on, and now it's on her to wake up and realize you can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. If your niece wants help, that's all on her now. You can't make yourself worried sick for someone who is clearly not going to change anytime soon. Whether or not you want to be there to help her pick up the pieces when she falls apart is up to you. However, you're not wrong for speaking your truth when no one else seems to be doing it. An important part of the people we love is that they can call us out for our bad behavior and decisions. What you choose to do now will be based entirely on your niece's actions. She will see at some point the consequences to her actions. And I agree up to a point. I think first you need to do the wildly elaborate private investigator bit.
Yeah, I don't think we explored that
And
option.
once you've done the wildly elaborate private investigator bit and you have him on record stating that he doesn't care about her, then you can give up.
Caitlin Von Comment says, yeah, I completely agree, guys. No matter what the family says, she's not going to believe. She'll have to realize it for herself, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's why. Okay. Comment number 2. You did what you can to BH, not the a-hole. Very succinct. Comment number 3. I was going to say you need to send her all those messages of how Joey treats her so bad, but she has no phone to receive them on. Good grief. I feel so sorry for the baby. And I agree, and which is, again, why we need to do an elaborate but effective private investigator plan where Joey is talking to a plant and he thinks he can actually confide in all of his relationship confessions to a man who turns out to be an undercover private investigator.
What we do here, you get the prank family, set them to good use. My entitled grandfather won't support my relationship, but still expects to be invited to the wedding? Nah, Grandpa. Trigger warning for elderly abuse and also Alzheimer's. My husband, 36 male, and I, 22 female, got married in February of 2023. The drama that came before it from my grandpa was pretty insane.
Is it because of the age gap?
By the way, this comes from Separate Chair 6337, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. The first thing is that my grandpa loaned me one of his cars, and it was a junker. However, at the time, we didn't have the funds for our own cars, so it was all we had. The brakes on this vehicle were so bad, the car screamed like a banshee every single time. There were times that we slid on solid road instead of stopping completely, and he refused to help us fix the brakes on his car, stating that they couldn't be that bad, or hopping into the car for 2 seconds, backing up, stopping, and then pulling back into the parking space and saying, they seem fine to me. Also, it wasn't just the brake pads that were bad. The rotors were shot to the point that it was a miracle the truck stopped at all. One night, I decided to DoorDash in my area to earn some cash since we were tight on money. The street was dimly lit, and there weren't any reflective signs warning that a sharp turn was coming up, due to the fact that if you stay straight, it turns into another road. So when I came up to the turn, I wasn't able to slow down and complete the turn due to the brakes failing on me. The truck drifted into the guardrail that runs along the side of the road where there is a good 4-inch drop-off. After dropping off the order I had to deliver, I went home very shaken up. I talked to my husband, who was at the time my fiance, and then called my grandpa. I told him how the brakes had failed, and he came over to inspect the damage. Nothing much seemed to have happened, besides the fact that the plastic cover that goes over the passenger front tire had fractured off. Not once did he ask me if I was okay. My grandpa jumped into the truck, did the whole backup and parked again, telling me that the brakes were fine, and I drove like a jackrabbit. My husband himself drove down that same turn in the dark when we got a new car a few months later, and said that, yeah, that turn is a death trap if you don't know it's there. This was the first time my grandfather had met my now husband, and the first thing he could say after checking the truck and saying it was good to go was this: "Don't get pregnant." After telling him I was marrying this man, that was all he could say. We told him off, and I told him that he could go back home as his input wasn't needed in that area of my life. This happened in the December before we got married. Come February, we had everything ready to go. My mom and stepdad drove 16 plus hours to see me get married, and my husband's two closest friends also joined in. The day before the wedding, my mom and I went to our local pizza shop for something small to eat. We hadn't mentioned anything to Grandpa since, well, he made it clear he didn't approve of this marriage. Grandpa and Grandma were sitting in the restaurant and were surprised to see my mom. I mentioned that I was getting married the next day at the courthouse, but didn't give them a time as I didn't want them to come. They also didn't ask either. They suddenly seemed excited I was getting married and stated they wanted to come. Not once apologizing about the prior conversation back in December.
In their defense, the grandpa's probably having a lot of conversations that go like that.
Yeah.
So to him, he's just like, like, don't get pregnant. And then she's like, how could he offend me and my...
My mom and I got our pizza and left the awkward conversation, and my mom said I probably shouldn't have even stated where I was going, since now the only reason they wanted to go was so their daughter didn't one-up them. I shrugged as they didn't have a time, and we enjoyed our pizza meal. The next day was wonderful. My husband and I got ready. I wore a beautiful dress that I found at Goodwill for like $10.
Wow, good for you.
And he refused to look at me until we were across from each other and the judge was commencing the ceremony. It was full of tears of joy, and we all ate at a local diner.
This is sweet.
Sounds like a great little wedding.
Yeah, small town wedding.
After saying farewell to everyone, we went back home. The wedding was at 9 a.m., and at about 12 p.m., my mom got a call from Grandpa. Grandpa asked her what time the wedding was. My mom told him he missed it and hung up. Grandpa didn't even reach out to me or my husband to ask us. He just went to my mom. She mentioned it to me the next day, along with some other sad news. Since 5th grade, my family owned this very large, chunky, and loving cat named Shep. No, he was my childhood cat. Slept on my neck every night until I moved out, my fuzzy best friend. Since the prior Thanksgiving, he hadn't been doing too well because of the loss of another childhood pet, our Chihuahua, Beast. They were besties and did things like steal together, destroy rooms, etc. After the passing of Beast, Shep's health started to decline. And in my heart, I knew that it was Shep's way of saying I had found the one. He held out long enough to know that his human best friend was in good hands and crossed the Rainbow Bridge, where I am sure he and Beast are stealing plenty of something together. My mom even got me a painting of the two of them, along with another pet that passed away for my birthday a couple of months later. My wedding was wonderful all around, and my grandpa still wonders why my husband and I are wary to visit them. My husband and I have been happily married since, and we now own 4 cats, 2 guinea pigs, and 1 corn snake. Dang. So you guys are fine.
What was the story about?
It's about the grandpa being like super unsupportive of the relationship. But it seems like he's just being a grumpy old grandpa, and we don't really have to talk to him.
Yeah, it seems like he was just being his old gram self.
Yeah.
And you don't
Seems
really
like you have a
care
great
about
life.
having him in your life.
Exactly.
And so there doesn't seem to be any predicament here.
Yeah. I think it's pretty straightforward.
It got solved.
Common One says, glad that you have a good wedding and congratulations on the anniversary coming up. But there is an update.
Oh.
Maybe something's about to happen. My grandpa and uncle have crossed a line that can never be uncrossed.
New character alert.
Recently, my grandpa called my mom up and told her on a Thursday that my grandma had not been eating well.
Oh.
Grandpa planned to take her to a doctor the next day. My mom and I thought he was meaning she wasn't eating much for just that singular day, and that was all. We didn't hear a thing on Friday. Come Saturday morning, we are notified my grandma has supposedly suffered a stroke and was in the hospital. My mom, who lives 1,000+ miles away, starts the drive out on our way to come visit Grandma. By that evening, we are told my grandma did not have a stroke, but was in the hospital because she was starving. My grandpa had not taken her to a doctor on Friday and waited until my grandma was in a coma until he got her a doctor. Now, we were aware that at some point my grandma would stop eating on her own. This is because roughly 3 to 4 years ago, she was diagnosed with sundowners, which is the early stages of Alzheimer's. At some point, they just stop eating.
Oh.
My grandma is a whole 83 pounds at this point, and looks like a skeleton. My grandpa stays at home while grandma goes to the hospital via ambulance.
I feel like you could have given that context before all the other stuff.
This seems like the mostly relevant thing. And also, I do think that if your grandma is just unwell, I think you can make the case that grandpa is not able to take care of her.
Yeah, was he not making sure she was eating?
It doesn't seem so. In which case that she needs to either be with another family member or, in a senior's home. My uncle, her son, is my grandpa's first visitor. My uncle is a disabled vet and come late July is planning to go to New York. For whatever reason, he has my grandma tag along to be his caregiver. Not to enjoy the trip, but to clean up after him because his legs are no longer functional. He was not shot overseas, but rather in his home because the police showed up for some reason. Whoa. My uncle says the police just broke in and didn't say anything. Police say otherwise, but because my uncle was sleeping at the time, he reached for a weapon he now no longer wants.
My God. That's a crazy story.
Why the police were there, I don't know. I wasn't there. But anyways, now he needs 24/7 care around the clock.
Wow.
And anytime he goes on a trip somewhere, he gets his 88-year-old mother to care for him for free. Is this while she has Alzheimer's?
I don't think she should be taking care of anyone.
What is this family? You need to get your grandma help. First thing my uncle does is make a Facebook post about grandma's condition and then jump straight into, now this will make things hard on me come July to August when I go to New York. I'll need a caregiver. He makes 3 more posts afterwards throughout the day, updating about her condition, and then tagging, but I need more help than she does. My uncle also DMs me and my mom to see if we can help him. We both tell him politely no. This concludes Saturday. Sunday, my mom makes it to the hospital my grandma's at, where she meets my uncle. He doesn't greet my mom and stepdad with a, hi, how are you, or glad you made it safe. Just straight up asks my mom, hey, about New York, are you going to help?
I'm just imagining, you come, you're like, how is she? He's like, oh, who? I'm
Grant,
going to New York.
my
Can you help me or
mom?
not?
Who cares about my mom? My stepdad cut my uncle off and told him no. My uncle then proceeds to ask if my youngest brother could help, and again, my stepdad told my uncle no. My stepdad then followed up with that my grandma's current condition is more important than some trip.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean?
It's New York.
It's New York. By this point in time, my grandpa has not shown up to the hospital once. I don't think he cares about your grandma. My mom, that lives 1,000+ miles away and drove 16+ hours to see grandma, made it to the hospital before a man that lives 30 minutes away. The same man that noticed a few days prior that grandma had not been eating and did nothing. Suddenly, because my mom is at the hospital, my grandpa wants to go. My grandpa gets there and doesn't even go into the room. He just stands out in the lobby. My mom and stepdad leave because they're beyond furious with the man for letting my grandma starve and do nothing about it until she was at a passing away store. I'm furious as well. My mom hasn't spoken a single word to my grandpa since the whole thing has come to light. My mom and stepdad come by to visit my husband and I. Mom grabbed a quick shower, and my stepdad and I rode up, and he dropped mom off overnight. I was unable to visit my grandma due to my husband and I having one car, and my husband works. I am a stay-at-home mom wife due to medical issues of my own. As far as my uncle and grandpa are aware, they stayed at an Airbnb. Nope, my stepdad slept over at our place until the hospital also allowed him to stay with mom overnight at the hospital. Now it's Monday. Once again, my uncle has asked my mom about the trip to New York. My uncle also makes a Facebook group chat with me, my grandpa, some of my mom's cousins, and then 2 random but strangers. My uncle excludes my mom and stepdad from this chat. So I slip on my little Sherlock Holmes hat and investigation mode. My uncle gave a few small updates, but not the larger ones. My grandma was supposed to get a feeding tube, but before the doctors could give it to her, my grandma woke up and started eating.
Great. Yay.
Amazing. She ate lunch and dinner, and my mom was happy because my grandma was at least awake now. However, once my grandma was awake, we learned about her mental state. My grandma was convinced she was at home and did not realize she was in the hospital no matter how many times she woke up.
That's sad.
I actually got to visit her on Monday, and she had torn out her IVs at the point. She has been combative with the nursing staff and only calmed down when my mom confronted her.
Oh, this is so sad.
My grandma couldn't even remember my uncle, called him Jack and the Beanstalk, and refused to talk to someone she didn't know. This is, very sad. The next day, my grandma ended up growing even more aggressive. The reason why, my grandma couldn't understand why my grandpa had not been to see her once. She flew into a rage, minorly hurt my mom through food, etc. The nurses had to sedate her to calm her down. My uncle just stated, "Oh, well, she's bipolar, just a manic episode." Uncle and grandpa freaking suck. Well, I decided to update the little group chat about the situation, and my uncle said he was doubting my mom on what happened, and that there's no way it could just be the dementia, and it was all because she was off her meds. I do believe that, yes, her bipolar condition played into that, but her dementia is what is causing her to not realize where she's at, causing her to not recognize her kid, and also why she would believe she was at her home and is upset that my grandpa won't come upstairs to see her. My mom is fed up at this point. She is exhausted and beyond furious. Emotions are high, and my uncle is the one who has the say-so on my grandma's health care.
Oh, really?
Why?
Yeah, why does he? He's the only one who doesn't care.
Why is he? Who let this happen? Who let this happen?
Yeah, and like, she was his caregiver, but he has say over her medical.
It really doesn't make sense why he would have a say over the healthcare when he is also not in a place where he can care for himself. So my mom decides to leave and head home since she did all that she was able to do. My mom feels like she's failed my grandma and feels like crap because she can't do more. My uncle is saying my mom is lying, and I sent a very long message in the group chat shooing him out along with my grandpa as well. Suddenly, he's not doubting what my mom is saying, but then randomly brings up a time where my grandma threw him across a countertop when he was younger, when she first had bipolar episodes. A whole day after my mom had left and made it safely home, my grandpa finally visits my grandma. My grandpa has cancer and has radiation treatment at the same hospital. He went to see her solely because he was already going to be there. Now my grandma is refusing to eat and becoming more and more combative without mom to help. But my uncle and my grandpa, who have the say, told my mom that they needed the help. My grandpa was expecting my mom to go help him out. My uncle was expecting her to help out him as well. However, my uncle is at least visiting my grandma, but is trying to push for at-home care. Sadly, though, that's not going to work with everything that led up to her being in the hospital in the first place. And since my mom has been gone, I think my uncle is starting to see that my mom wasn't lying about anything, and that my grandma's time on earth is shorter than it should have been. But, by the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search for OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to this story, but this is just so incredibly sad that this poor woman is being treated just terribly by the people that are supposed to be taking care of her.
The people closest to her.
And also, it seems
son and her son and her husband.
Son and her husband, who are supposed to be her caretakers, are not taking care of her, and the only people that seem to actually value her life and want to and care about her well-being are OP and her mom, who are not able to, advocate in the way that they should be able to, because they're probably not on legally allowed to. Grandma is still in the hospital as far as I know, and her mental state seems to be dropping fast. It's possible that since she was starved, it punted her dementia into overdrive. I haven't spoken to either my uncle or grandpa since I chewed them out. My mom and grandma deserve better, and no one treats my mother that way. My mom and I are thankful my grandma is at least now getting the care she needs, but we both wish we could do more to help. I will give updates when they're available. And there are some comments to finish the story off. Comment 1 says, sounds like grandma needs someone to advocate for her. She may do better in a dementia unit where she is sure to get better care. I am sorry you and your family are going through all of this. Grandma is lucky to have you and your mom. Yeah. No, definitely needs way better care. Like, if you can look into a dementia care unit, as that comment said, that would probably be the best possible thing to do for her.
Yeah, I hope.
Get her away from these other people.
I hope your grandma gets the care.
Me too. But that is the end of that story. My cousin ruined the only memory of my great-grandma, and she doesn't feel remorse.
That's just foul.
This happened when I was probably 20 when I was in university. My great-grandmother passed away when I was 12, just a few months before my birthday. I was a teen pregnancy, and since my mom wanted to pursue fun and a career, my great-grandmother looked after me every weekend and throughout the entirety of school holidays. I trusted her with everything, and I was her favorite of all of her children. By the way, this comes from Osamu Daza 1NLH, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, she had 7 kids, and each of those had 3 kids. So far, 2 of those had 4 kids each, and another has 2, and another has 1. You can imagine this is quite a big family. I'm her namesake, and when she passed away, she left me her engagement ring, her jewelry, and a doll from her childhood, along with all her other earthly possessions. Every Christmas, she would take me to a shop to pick a new decoration for her tree, until the tree eventually became full of my interests. Then she would take me on a weekend trip to see the beautiful Christmas festival a neighboring city had going on. She even fell out with her twin sister because she didn't like how that sister treated me. By the time I was 9, she was already talking about my wedding. She refused to let me into the hospital when she had cancer because she didn't want me to remember her as anything other than healthy. And as weird as it is, when she passed away, I carried around her obituary card in school because I needed some version of her close. Kids bullied me for it, but that didn't stop me. Thankfully, my parents put me in therapy, and I've learned to deal with her loss. For the first 3 months after her death, I genuinely thought everyone was playing a prank on me and that she was hiding somewhere.
Yeah, see now, and that's why I will never advocate the whole, like, I don't want you to see me like this, because it's like you're doing a disservice.
Yeah. I was extremely attached to her and still am. Whenever something good happens in my life, I truly believe it's because she's looking after me. People here may remember the little live pet robot toys from the 2010s. Well, I was obsessed. I had everything you could get, from the lovebirds to the squirrels, the chicks, the mice, the turtles, and so on. If there was a new release, my Nana got them for me. Once the store sold her a broken one, and she berated the manager for an hour because it was meant to be my Christmas present and there were none left. She spoiled me rotten because my mom couldn't afford to. These toys were all kept safely in a playroom she had built for me, and they still are there to this day. One distinct feature of those lovebirds was that they could record voices. The recording would be slightly higher pitched to fit the bird, but it would be obvious who was speaking. One of the last things my Nana did was record, "I love you" on one, and "I'm proud of you" on the other. Despite having all these things she left me, those 2 birds became my prized possessions. She hated being recorded. She never sent voice notes. That was literally the only reminder I had of her voice. And whenever I felt sad, I would listen to them on repeat for hours.
Steel yourselves, people, because these birds are being thrown in the trash.
I had a drawer in my house full of batteries just for these birds so they would never pass. I was too scared that if they did, I would lose the messages forever. When I was older, my mother moved me to another country. It was only a 4-hour drive from where I used to live, but still another country. I couldn't see my family as much, and I hated it. I didn't even have time to grab the lovebirds. They were left in my toy room on the highest shelf. While I was gone, my cousin gave birth. This cousin has always been, I guess, an attention seeker. When Nana was passing away, she made a point to try and force everyone out of the hospital room so she, as the favorite, could be alone with her. At Nana's funeral, she spoke about how she was sure Nana would be proud of what her favorite had accomplished, despite it being clear that I was practically Nana's own daughter.
Literally disgusting to claim yourself the favorite at someone's funeral.
Come on. When she realized she was pregnant with a girl, she was ecstatic and bragging about it to everyone. We're a family of at least 50 women and 4 men. It would have been more of a surprise if she had a son, honestly.
Did they say 50 women and 4 men?
4 men, yeah.
What is that, a joke? Can you do that? Those are some numbers.
Then she video called me. She tried to convince me to change my name, saying I didn't use it anyway. I'm always gone by a nickname, think Anne instead of Annabelle. But whenever I introduce myself, I use Annabelle. It's my name and my Nana's, so obviously I refuse to change it. She punted off, of course, saying she was the favorite and wanted to honor her grandmother. You can't just steal OP's name.
Yeah, you can, actually.
I mean, you can, but you can't just be like, you can't have it anymore.
That's the crazy thing, is that you could just go and change your name and not make it anyone else's problem, but instead, you're making it OP's problem.
and didn't hear from her until the baby was born, and she named it Belle, a variation of the name. Okay, whatever. She can do whatever she wants.
And it's like, you can drive yourself insane over someone else's like choices and behavior and stuff, or you can just be like, you know what? Whatever.
She tried to steal Nana's jewelry from me when I was 15 and called the police on me when I didn't give her Nana's engagement ring for her boyfriend to propose. She cut off another cousin because they were pregnant at the same time as her, and then cut off another because they took attention away from her pregnancy by miscarrying.
This person's horrifically bad.
So that's the kind of person she is. Wow. I don't know why she's so desperate to be Nana's favorite and put others down, but here we are, because she's an attention seeker. I came back to my Nana's house for Christmas. I had been to other family members' houses since the move, but not hers, and decided to go find my lovebirds since I had been having a tough week and my depression had gotten worse. I noticed they weren't on the top shelf and were on the windowsill, but I shrugged it off thinking they were moved because the room had been cleaned or something. Grabbing the first bird, I pressed the button expecting to hear the "I love you." No, that wasn't there. Instead, it was a bunch of childish fart noises. I grabbed the other one and that played back to me some giggling. I left the room and saw Bella running around. She's young, so I can understand why she would want to play with them, but the button was taped over so no one could press it, and they were kept in a box. An adult would have had to got them out and remove the tape for her to record a new message. I walked up to my cousin and casually mentioned the lovebirds. She laughed and said Bella loves recording messages on them. I kind of stared at her before clarifying everything. You knew what was on those birds, right? Nana's messages to me? Well, yeah, you made a pretty big fuss of it when you told the family group chat no one else could use them. But Nana would have wanted Bella to play with them. You remember how she was. She would never have denied the daughter of her favorite granddaughter. Paraphrased, of course, this was 3 years ago. This woman, I just left. My uncle noticed, telling me that my cousin had come around when he was at work and let herself in. By the time he got home, the messages were already gone. I can understand if Bella was annoyingly persistent, but those boxes were at the back of a shelf 6 feet high that no 7-year-old could possibly see. My cousin would have had to have gotten them out to show Bella for her to want to play with them. And I feel like that was some kind of weird plan she had.
This part in the story were adults, right? Like, of course, cousins, terrible, right? Backups. We 100% should have backed that up.
I honestly felt like I lost her all over again, and I didn't even have those lovebirds to calm me down. I dug out her obituary from my memory box and laid on the bed with it in my hand. It didn't help, though. I had wanted to give those birds to my kids, not as a toy, but as a memento to teach them of the wonderful woman my great-grandmother was. A woman who smacked my dad in the face for speeding in the car with me, and the first to believe me when it came out what a family member had done to me. A woman that won bingo and used that money to buy my mother a small starter house while she was struggling with rent. And a woman that screamed in the face of my step-grandmother, who randomly showed up to her house and tried to take me away without telling my parents after she hit me the day before. And thankfully, she talked my 17-year-old mother out of naming me Disney. This woman was my whole world.
Yes, she's your patron saint, dude.
She lived long despite developing cancer twice, but it was still barely even 12 years that I had with her, and it felt unfair. I know you all might be expecting some big, petty revenge, but that's not the case here. All I really did was ask my uncle to find my grandmother's will and send a picture of it to my cousin. I was the one Nana left her estate to because I was the favorite. I don't live in that house now. I let my uncle live there because it's close to his work and he's getting old. Besides, I'm still living in a different country until I finish university. But I dug out every shred of evidence that I was my grandmother's favorite purely so this woman would get her head out of her own butt. It didn't really work. She still brags about all her memories as Nana's favorite. But now she refuses to attend family gatherings if I'm there.
Huge W.
Yay! Suits her because that means more dessert for me. Although she still demands hundreds of euros worth of presents for Bella every year. Her mother and father have blocked me on everything, but that's understandable. I lost 10 or so members of my family, but I still have about 6 dozen, so is that a real loss? I miss those messages like crazy. I still reach for them when I'm sad until I remember. Those messages got me through so much. And in a way, I'm more sad I didn't get to say goodbye to them. It was like the last little bit of Nana was inside of them. But we're always with you because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Yep.
But there is a little bit left to the story.
So this is clearly on the cousin, and it's just a horrible thing. So horrible, you just like, well, no one would do this, right? And now you learn, like, some people will do crazy stuff. Backups of crucial information, like the recording of your grandma's voice. Like, anyone out there, if you have like because it's like, I have some stuff like that where it's like, it's like on one, it's just on a thing that can't be recreated. So it's like, you gotta record it, make a backup of it, whatever. Backups are so important, and even outside of like a voice memo or whatever, if there's information and stuff out there, if there's files, whatever, anyone listening or watching this, if you've been thinking you need to back some stuff up and you have not done it, go do it, because technology is brutally unforgiving when it comes to the deleting.
But we got a little bit left of the story. On a positive note, I still keep up that tradition of going to that neighboring city every Christmas. It's not as magical as it was when I was a kid, but I've started taking my niece with me, telling her all about Nana and taking her to all my favorite spots. She loves it, thankfully, and is already planning next year's trip, so that's something to look forward to. And that is the end of that story. You don't have to have contact with this woman.
Right.
And make sure that all of your stuff is with you now.
Yeah. You can't, she's in her own little delusional wonderland calling herself the favorites, whatever. It's not going to change. It doesn't really matter. But I would have certainly bent the old ear a little bit just to be like, hey, so just so you know, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to yell, but I just want to let you know that everyone thinks that you're, kind of ridiculous going around saying all this stuff. And what you kind of did with the birds here is it's the final straw for me.
My cousin ruined the only memory of my great-grandma, and she doesn't feel remorse.
That's just foul.
This happened when I was probably 20 when I was in university. My great-grandmother passed away when I was 12, just a few months before my birthday. I was a teen pregnancy, and since my mom wanted to pursue fun and a career, my great-grandmother looked after me every weekend and throughout the entirety of school holidays. I trusted her with everything, and I was her favorite of all of her children. By the way, this comes from Osamu Daza 1NLH, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, she had 7 kids, and each of those had 3 kids. So far, 2 of those had 4 kids each, and another has 2, and another has 1. You can imagine this is quite a big family. I'm her namesake, and when she passed away, she left me her engagement ring, her jewelry, and a doll from her childhood, along with all her other earthly possessions. Every Christmas, she would take me to a shop to pick a new decoration for her tree, until the tree eventually became full of my interests. Then she would take me on a weekend trip to see the beautiful Christmas festival a neighboring city had going on. She even fell out with her twin sister because she didn't like how that sister treated me. By the time I was 9, she was already talking about my wedding. She refused to let me into the hospital when she had cancer because she didn't want me to remember her as anything other than healthy. And as weird as it is, when she passed away, I carried around her obituary card in school because I needed some version of her close. Kids bullied me for it, but that didn't stop me. Thankfully, my parents put me in therapy, and I've learned to deal with her loss. For the first 3 months after her death, I genuinely thought everyone was playing a prank on me and that she was hiding somewhere.
Yeah, see now, and that's why I will never advocate the whole, like, I don't want you to see me like this, because it's like you're doing a disservice.
Yeah. I was extremely attached to her and still am. Whenever something good happens in my life, I truly believe it's because she's looking after me. People here may remember the little live pet robot toys from the 2010s. Well, I was obsessed. I had everything you could get, from the lovebirds to the squirrels, the chicks, the mice, the turtles, and so on. If there was a new release, my Nana got them for me. Once the store sold her a broken one, and she berated the manager for an hour because it was meant to be my Christmas present and there were none left. She spoiled me rotten because my mom couldn't afford to. These toys were all kept safely in a playroom she had built for me, and they still are there to this day. One distinct feature of those lovebirds was that they could record voices. The recording would be slightly higher pitched to fit the bird, but it would be obvious who was speaking. One of the last things my Nana did was record "I love you" on one, and "I'm proud of you" on the other. Despite having all these things she left me, those 2 birds became my prized possessions. She hated being recorded. She never sent voice notes. That was literally the only reminder I had of her voice. And whenever I felt sad, I would listen to them on repeat for hours.
Steel yourselves, people, because these birds are being thrown in the trash.
I had a drawer in my house full of batteries just for these birds so they would never pass. I was too scared that if they did, I would lose the messages forever. When I was older, my mother moved me to another country. It was only a 4-hour drive from where I used to live, but still another country. I couldn't see my family as much, and I hated it. I didn't even have time to grab the lovebirds. They were left in my toy room on the highest shelf. While I was gone, my cousin gave birth. This cousin has always been, I guess, an attention seeker. When Nana was passing away, she made a point to try and force everyone out of the hospital room so she, as the favorite, could be alone with her. At Nana's funeral, she spoke about how she was sure Nana would be proud of what her favorite had accomplished, despite it being clear that I was practically Nana's own daughter.
Literally disgusting to claim yourself the favorite at someone's funeral.
Come on. When she realized she was pregnant with a girl, she was ecstatic and bragging about it to everyone. We're a family of at least 50 women and 4 men. It would have been more of a surprise if she had a son, honestly.
Did they say 50 women and 4 men?
4 men, yeah.
What is that, a joke? Can you do that? Those are some numbers.
Then she video called me. She tried to convince me to change my name, saying I didn't use it anyway. I'm always gone by a nickname, think Anne instead of Annabelle. But whenever I introduce myself, I use Annabelle. It's my name and my Nana's, so obviously I refuse to change it. She punted off, of course, saying she was the favorite and wanted to honor her grandmother. You can't just steal OP's name.
Yeah, you can, actually.
I mean, you can, but you can't just be like, you can't have it anymore.
That's the crazy thing, is that you could just go and change your name and not make it anyone else's problem, but instead, you're making it OP's problem.
And didn't hear from her until the baby was born, and she named it Belle, a variation of the name. Okay, whatever. She can do whatever she wants.
And it's like, you can drive yourself insane over someone else's like choices and behavior and stuff, or you can just be like, you know what, whatever.
She tried to steal Nana's jewelry from me when I was 15 and called the police on me when I didn't give her Nana's engagement ring for her boyfriend to propose. She cut off another cousin because they were pregnant at the same time as her, and then cut off another because they took attention away from her pregnancy by miscarrying.
This person's horrifically bad.
So that's the kind of person she is. Wow. I don't know why she's so desperate to be Nana's favorite and put others down, but here we are, because she's an attention seeker. I came back to my Nana's house for Christmas. I had been to other family members' houses since the move, but not hers, and decided to go find my lovebirds since I had been having a tough week and my depression had gotten worse. I noticed they weren't on the top shelf and were on the windowsill, but I shrugged it off thinking they were moved because the room had been cleaned or something. Grabbing the first bird, I pressed the button expecting to hear the "I love you." No, that wasn't there. Instead, it was a bunch of childish fart noises. I grabbed the other one and that played back to me some giggling. I left the room and saw Bella running around. She's young, so I can understand why she would want to play with them, but the button was taped over so no one could press it, and they were kept in a box. An adult would have had to got them out and remove the tape for her to record a new message. I walked up to my cousin and casually mentioned the lovebirds. She laughed and said Bella loves recording messages on them. I kind of stared at her before clarifying everything. You knew what was on those birds, right? Nana's messages to me? Well, yeah, you made a pretty big fuss of it when you told the family group chat no one else could use them. But Nana would have wanted Bella to play with them. You remember how she was. She would never have denied the daughter of her favorite granddaughter. Paraphrased, of course, this was 3 years ago. This woman, I just left. My uncle noticed, telling me that my cousin had come around when he was at work and let herself in. By the time he got home, the messages were already gone. I can understand if Bella was annoyingly persistent, but those boxes were at the back of a shelf 6 feet high that no 7-year-old could possibly see. My cousin would have had to have gotten them out to show Bella for her to want to play with them, and I feel like that was some kind of weird plan she had.
This part in the story were adults, right? Like, of course, cousin's terrible, right? Backups. We 100% should have backed that up.
I honestly felt like I lost her all over again, and I didn't even have those lovebirds to calm me down. I dug out her obituary from my memory box and laid on the bed with it in my hand. It didn't help, though. I had wanted to give those birds to my kids, not as a toy, but as a memento to teach them of the wonderful woman my great-grandmother was. A woman who smacked my dad in the face for speeding in the car with me, and the first to believe me when it came out what a family member had done to me. A woman that won bingo and used that money to buy my mother a small starter house while she was struggling with rent. And a woman that screamed in the face of my step-grandmother, who randomly showed up to her house and tried to take me away without telling my parents after she hit me the day before. And thankfully, she talked my 17-year-old mother out of naming me Disney. This woman was my whole world.
Yes, she's your patron saint, dude.
She lived long despite developing cancer twice, but it was still barely even 12 years that I had with her, and it felt unfair. I know you all might be expecting some big, petty revenge, but that's not the case here. All I really did was ask my uncle to find my grandmother's will and send a picture of it to my cousin. I was the one Nana left her estate to because I was the favorite. I don't live in that house now. I let my uncle live there because it's close to his work and he's getting old. Besides, I'm still living in a different country until I finish university. But I dug out every shred of evidence that I was my grandmother's favorite purely so this woman would get her head out of her own butt. It didn't really work. She still brags about all her memories as Nana's favorite. But now she refuses to attend family gatherings if I'm there.
Huge W.
Yay! Suits her because that means more dessert for me. Although she still demands hundreds of euros worth of presents for Bella every year. Her mother and father have blocked me on everything, but that's understandable. I lost 10 or so members of my family, but I still have about 6 dozen, so is that a real loss? I miss those messages like crazy. I still reach for them when I'm sad until I remember. Those messages got me through so much. And in a way, I'm more sad I didn't get to say goodbye to them. It was like the last little bit of Nana was inside of them. But we're always with you because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Yep.
But there is a little bit left to the story.
So this is clearly on the cousin, and it's just a horrible thing. So horrible, you just like, well, no one would do this, right? And now you learn, like, some people will do crazy stuff. Backups of crucial information, like the recording of your grandma's voice. Like, anyone out there, if you have like because it's like, I have some stuff like that where it's like, it's like on one, it's just on a thing that can't be recreated. So it's like, you gotta record it, make a backup of it, whatever. Backups are so important. And even outside of like a voice memo or whatever, if there's information and stuff out there, if there's files, whatever, anyone listening or watching this, if you've been thinking you need to back some stuff up and you have not done it, go do it, because technology is brutally unforgiving when it comes to the deleting.
But we got a little bit left of the story. On a positive note, I still keep up that tradition of going to that neighboring city every Christmas. It's not as magical as it was when I was a kid, but I've started taking my niece with me, telling her all about Nana and taking her to all my favorite spots. She loves it, thankfully, and is already planning next year's trip. So that's something to look forward to. And that is the end of that story. You don't have to have contact with this woman.
Right.
And make sure that all of your stuff is with you now.
Yeah. You can't, she's in her own little delusional wonderland calling herself the favorites, whatever. It's not going to change. It doesn't really matter. But I would have certainly bent the old ear a little bit just to be like, hey, so just so you know, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to yell, but I just want to let you know that everyone thinks that you're, kind of ridiculous going around saying all this stuff. And what you kind of did with the birds here is it's the final straw for me.
My twin sister tried to force a double wedding and almost got me arrested.
My cousins tried to do this once. What? No joke.
Is this your story?
This is not my story, but my cousins tried to do this once.
Are your cousins twins?
They are, and they married twins.
I'm a 22-year-old. That's insane.
That's insane.
I'm a 22-year-old female. Here is my story. I got engaged 4 years ago. Yeah, that might sound crazy, but I was. When I got engaged, I was still in college and planned on finishing before getting married. By the way, this comes from Radiant Anywhere 5354 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my fiance, 25-year-old male, decided to wait until I graduated, which happened this year, and we immediately started wedding planning. My graduation was in March and my wedding was supposed to be in July. I was so happy to be married to the love of my life, but this is where everything went wrong. I have a twin sister and she got engaged last year, 2023, and she and her fiance were not planning to get married anytime soon until I announced my wedding date. I and my sister are not close at all, even though we were twins. We shared everything from clothes to a house to even, at one point, boys. Oh, huh? But we grew apart because she was angry when I got engaged without her. Anyway, we just stopped talking until last year when my mom told me about her engagement, and we went out to celebrate it. We did not even speak to each other. I told my family about my wedding date at a family dinner at my parents' house, and everyone was excited, except my sister. But I didn't let anything ruin my night. So preparations for my wedding started, and I already found the perfect dress, the perfect venue, and my invitations were already out. All that was left was for that day to come. Little did I know my sister had other plans.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, 3 weeks before my wedding day, I get a call from my wedding planner saying my sister is asking what my dress looks like and what my fiance's suit looks like. I was like, why is she asking? I thought maybe she needed ideas for her own wedding, but boy, was I wrong. 2 weeks before my wedding, my sister's fiance texts me and says how happy he is for me to agree to a double wedding and how he's excited to make memories with me and my fiance. I was like, I don't even know about it and I never agreed to it. But he kept saying my sister said so. I called my mom and she knew, but felt like it was the right thing to do because we were twins and we should do everything together.
This is so weird.
That's weird.
This is so weird.
That's weird. I called my sister, but she didn't answer. So I drove to her house and confronted her about it. She just said we're twins and we should do everything together. And it'll be a new memory for me and her. She told me I should stop being a bee for not wanting it.
What?
You're not invited to the wedding anymore. You're gone. Mind you, I paid for everything. I mean everything. And all she paid for was her wedding dress. I told my fiance and he said to me, do whatever you want. I'll support you. So I told my dad and he told me the exact same thing. I moved my wedding to December, but didn't inform my mom and sister. I informed all my vendors and my guests. My fiance and I decided to take a trip to Spain, and I turned my phone off so no one could reach me. When I returned, my mom and sister were furious. They called me selfish and said I'm an a-hole for doing that without informing them, and they will not be attending my wedding. Am I the a-hole? And there is an update. Oh no, you're not going to be attending my wedding? No.
I feel like they just set this up so they can have a reason not to attend your
Yeah,
wedding.
maybe they chose the craziest thing. Yeah. Why would we want you at the wedding?
I don't know.
Why would anyone want them at
That
the wedding?
twin seems like she wants to do everything together.
She's weird. She's weird.
Literally, she wants to have babies together, it sounds like, too. Like, she would get to that point. Not with you, not with the twin, but like,
Yikes, man.
let's coordinate, have babies together.
But there is an update. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you guys for the support and ideas. I have an update. My wedding was 3 days ago. I am currently in Thailand for my honeymoon, but let's dive into the update. You guys were right. My sister tried to crash my wedding. Of course she friggin' did. Of course she did. She probably showed up in the wedding dress, tried to walk down the aisle. And not just that, she almost got me arrested on my wedding day. So the weeks leading up to my wedding were silent from both my sister and my mom, so I thought nothing would happen. But I was wrong again. My fiance and I planned a small get-together the night before our wedding with just our bridal party. Everything seemed fine in the beginning. We made reservations at a restaurant. We got to the restaurant and found out we were already there. How is that possible if we just got there? The manager was called and he told us we already checked in for our reservation. He swore he saw me. Evil twin! And my fiance was like, there was no way he saw me. We continued to argue with the manager, and as we were, our friends started to show up. We explained the situation to them and they too were shook. At this point, it has not hit me yet that there is only one person who also has my face. Security was called and we were let out of the restaurant. We were in the parking lot when it hit me that my sister was the only one who could do this. But my friend said I should leave it and we could still make the best of the night. And we did.
Dude, if you're evil and you have a twin and you get up to no good.
There's so much damage you could do.
Oh my gosh.
It's so scary.
It is very scary. You could ban someone from everything.
Yeah, you could just go to like every store and you're like, I mean, you also have to be okay with getting banned as well.
You could go to their workplace.
Get them fired.
Absolutely.
Everything was smooth. Oh, this is the wedding day. Everything was smooth going until it was time for me to walk down the aisle when I saw my sister wearing the same dress as me and hair and even makeup. You could not tell us apart even if you knew us for years. Security.
Oh.
There's going to be a moment where they're at the wedding and they're like, no, I'm the real OP. And the husband's like, oh no, how do I choose?
This is weird.
You know?
This is really weird.
I immediately asked her what she was doing, and she looked me in the eye and said I was an imposter, and she was the real me! I called it! it! I freaking called it!
Show ID. Bring your birth certificate right now.
I
Social security
called
number.
it. I thought that I was joking. I was so confused that I lost words. When my husband noticed I was not coming down the aisle, he walked to the entrance and could not tell us apart at first glance. How did I nail this story?
What?
I didn't even approve this story. How did I nail this one? Oh my God. My sister started shouting, which drew the attention of my family and guests. Because it was getting too much, someone had called the police. When they arrived, they were also confused about who was who. My sister kept yelling, saying I wanted to ruin her day and I couldn't be happy for her. The police had asked us if we had anything that could prove I was me, and she was lying. This is insane. Luckily, my best friend, also my maid of honor, had my phone and my ID with her. I showed the police, and they were about to arrest my sister when she said I would have exchanged the ID and our phones. The police decided to cuff both of us, this can't be real, and take us down to the station for more questioning. When my now husband said that his wife has a tattoo, Shell Bell says, please tell me OP has a tattoo. This can't be real. That we both got, I forgot about that. When my sister heard that, you could visibly see fear in her eyes. Note, we got this tattoo last year and it's hidden from the eyes of other. Because of where the tattoo was located, a female officer had to follow me to the washroom to see if it matched with my husband's tattoo. After it was confirmed, my sister was taken away.
Ooh.
Dude, what? This is on her wedding day?
What?
My wedding commenced, what? After a long mental break from what had just happened. What do you mean your wedding kept going after that?
They're like, hey, this is a big day.
We got to keep it going,
I guess. We can't afford to book this venue again. We got to keep rolling.
But now I am happily married to the love of my life. I love when you guys listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. This was crazy.
Dude, why didn't we read this one first?
This was crazy.
What?
This was crazy.
Holy cow.
I don't know if I buy it, but if it's true, it's crazy.
We have to buy it. It's a good story.
We have to buy it because it's so good.
It's a good story.
It's so good that
it sounds too good to be.
But you know what? I'm taking it because this was the best story of the day.
If we think about it, there are 8 billion people in this freaking world. This had to happen once.
Someone's got to have this base, like the movies have to base it off of something.
Yeah. This definitely happened.
Context. Yes, I did put security and the main entrance of the venue. Don't know how she passed them. Yes, I did change my venue from the last one. My mom was in it on a 2. She helped my sister get the same dress. And yes, my sister and my mom were the ones that checked in at the restaurant. And no, my sister's not in jail. I did not press charges against her. She is still my sister, but I do plan on getting a restraining order on her. Good. My bridal party, my and my husband's friends. So I don't know how my sister will know about that restaurant reservation. I know this might be crazy and it might sound like it only happens on TV, but I too was shocked that anyone could think of us. And that is the end of that insane story.
Oh.
Crazy. Wow. You have an insane sister. You got a crazy sister.
What would have happened if they got married?
Yeah. Like what happens if OP gets taken away? Was she just planning on like starting a new life with OP's husband?
The husband will be like, something's off.
Something's a little bit.
You know when you put on
off.
like somebody else's shoes.
Yeah. But
This
also I
doesn't
feel
fit
like
right.
twins don't have
stop.
But I feel like twins don't have the same voice.
Whenever my grandfather on my dad's side died, he wasn't really close to me, so it was okay. My dad found out that he had a half sister, and that half sister had 6 kids. 5 girls, 1 boy. Well, I think back in 2022, they have twins and then they have another one. So one twin got engaged. And then one of the sisters that has been with her boyfriend for I think 5 years at this point, she was kind of like, why are you not getting married to me? And the twins were only together for 1.5 years, 2 years. So then that sister then got engaged because the boyfriend was like, well, I got engaged to her now. And then the other twin engaged. Mind you that the twins are dating twins. So the twins then are now marrying twins.
Dang.
So one twin was getting the wedding together, had a location, everything was good, everything was looking great. And this was Sally, and Sarah seemed like she wanted to do a double wedding because she didn't want to pay double. She didn't want to do everything. I thought the concept was cool, but she kind of seemed like she was piggybacking off of Sally. Sally kind of seemed chill with it. I don't really know what was happening behind the scenes, but they ended up doing separate weddings. And like even the twins' brothers weren't even the best men at each other's weddings because they had to save money. Apparently, they didn't want to pay for like suits or something.
Insane.
Yeah, but the twins were at like maid of honors at each other's
That
weddings.
makes sense.
Yeah, so it was wild. And then they recently both had kids, and
those are like closer to I think those are like siblings
yeah, you want to see them?
genetically. Yeah,
I barely
They're
talked to
genetically
them.
siblings. Really? Oh wow, you're right.
because they're twins.
Yeah, I don't know which one's which, and I don't know their names, and I feel like a bad cousin. Because as soon as I left for LA, they started having kids, and I'm like, so much happens in a year.
But dang, that my mother complained to me about my father for years. It ruined my relationship with him.
Put all the family burden on OP.
Yeah, that's what you do. Put it on the child. I always describe my relationship with my dad to others as strained. Since I was around 10, we have constantly fought. I thought for years that my dad misheard me or misrepresented how I spoke with him. By the way, this comes from Lovable Nerd. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, many times we would have conversations where he wouldn't like my tone, especially if I was flippant, and he would tell me off for it. I would immediately remove myself from the conversation, but the grudge remained. Over time, this led to us not speaking much or relating to one another at all. For example, my dad has always been a workaholic. Many of our fights happened in the evenings when he would come home from work only to keep working. When I would poke him about being on the computer and ask him to come to dinner, he would get upset and tell me bluntly to leave him alone. I would ask him why he came home from work just to keep working. He would get more upset by that and yell at me. I'd walk away. When I started high school, my mom and I became very close. She was a stay-at-home mom for my brother, 30 male, and me. We spent a lot of afternoons together after school, running errands, watching shows, and cooking together. Over time, it was easy to talk to my mom. She loved to sit and listen to me study for history tests, reciting facts, and asking questions. She engaged with me about my day-to-day at school with genuine interest. She also gave me the space to write and work. We've remained close, but things changed when I went away to college. I struggled with anxiety, and she was the only one who knew. We checked in with one another every day via text. She supported me and helped me through a horrible breakup. I have her to thank for sticking with my degree when I desperately wanted to drop out. She encouraged me even when I decided to attend university 7 hours away from home. She remained supportive when I pursued an MA and ultimately my PhD. My dad struggled with these decisions. As someone in business, he doesn't see the value or necessity of postgraduate degrees. He has heckled me for it, been confrontational about it, and told me off for being the smart one. He has told me to my face that he doesn't know why anyone would pay me to do what I do. Last year, my mom was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I took the summer off to help her with treatments, primarily keeping her company and cooking for my parents while I stayed with them. She became very dependent on me. When she finished treatment and I went back to work and my PhD, she developed really bad anxiety. She began complaining that my dad was not understanding or helpful more frequently. Every conversation we had, she would vocalize how frustrated she was with him. Despite my pushing her to seek counseling and enjoy the break in treatment, she barely left the house. She did not go back to work. She traveled to see her family and had a horrible time, so she was turned off from traveling altogether. This past December, she received news that her cancer had likely spread to her surrounding lymph nodes. In April, she needed emergency surgery. I rushed home because her life was in danger, and I have stayed with them since. My mom was hospitalized for 35 days. During that time, I realized that she was pushing my dad further away. He would try to hold her hand and pet her in a soothing way, but she would slap his hand away while being more than happy to hold mine. She complained about almost everything my dad did, the way he spoke, the way he drove, the way he engaged with her. As I worked through my feelings with my own therapist, I realized that my mom has always done this. I have been a mediator between my parents for almost a decade at least. When I was younger and my mom was frustrated that my dad was still working at home after a long day at the office, I was the one who confronted him about it. My dad also got frustrated when my mom went back to work while I was in college, and he pressed her to leave her job. She told me how upset she was by this, and I was the one who confronted him about it. Now, with my mom's diagnosis, I have had to confront my dad about a number of things, and it's just made things more fraught between us. I genuinely feel like my dad has come to resent the friendship I have with mom, and he has confirmed this. My mom pushed herself to take me out to lunch for my birthday about a week after an aggressive chemo treatment. Later that night, when my dad got home from work, he told me he was jealous, but secretly happy that the lunch was cut short so that hopefully the three of us could do something on the weekend together.
Wow.
Oh, that's so sad to hear
Yeah.
from like your parent being like, I just want to spend time with you guys, because like watching a partner kind of slowly, get worse and worse.
Right.
I will be leaving my parents' house in roughly a week to go back to work. I'm a PhD student and have teaching and program requirements that require me to return to school, 8 hours away. I most likely won't be back until December for the holidays. I have been at my parents' since April when my mom was hospitalized, and when I told my mom that I was leaving roughly a month ago, she became extremely emotional. Any mention that I'm leaving, example discussions of my travel plans or going back to work, has her in tears. She's finally seeing a counselor who is helping her work through her anxiety, but I feel like it's not enough. She has no close friends, and we have no close family where they currently live for her to lean on. I feel like I am stranding her with my father and brother, who just don't have a good relationship with her right now. I also know that I absolutely need to get out of this situation, and that she will be okay when I go. I've left briefly for a few days before and 2 weeks for a work thing. My dad and brother stepped up. It is destroying me to be the go-between for my parents, and worse yet, I feel like I am contributing to their communication problems and adding to the growing distance between them. You are not. This is not your fault.
Not
Your
fault
parents
at
have
all.
their own relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of putting you in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Absolutely.
I have been supportive of them speaking frankly to one another about their problems. I have even found them resources to seek counseling together and separately through the cancer clinic, so all of their appointments are free. I have encouraged my mom to be open to other people helping her through treatment, especially because I feel so much pressure as a solo caregiver to her. I also feel incredibly resentful that I'm in this position, which only contributes to my own anxiety. How do I gracefully extricate myself from this relationship in the long run? How do I even begin to rebuild a relationship with my dad? My parents have been married for 27 years. There has been no discussion of separation. My mom is 100% dependent on my dad, and he truly loves her with all of his heart. They know they have some work to do on their marriage, but her illness has made pre-existing problems 100 times worse. We're all flustered. And there are some comments and an update, but
Wow.
what are your thoughts?
That's just so much burden that OP is
Yeah.
putting on herself, and that the parents
Has
are
been
putting on
herself
her
for, years.
Yeah. I mean, probably
Her whole
because
life,
the
yeah.
parents have done that
Yeah.
too. That's just not something that you do with your kid.
No.
Like you are there for your kid, but your kid isn't supposed to be there for you.
Your
you
kid
know?
is not your therapist. You can't
Yeah.
go to them to talk about your problems with your partner.
right.
You should be, you want them to be as neutral about issues with you guys as possible.
Yeah.
But I think that you can just have talks with your dad and be like, hey, I feel like, I want to have a relationship with you, and I know
Right.
that's going to be hard because we've had our differences, but
Right.
that is
It's
something
possible.
important to me. Comments. Comment 1 says, your post is extremely similar to the situation I have had with my parents, minus the cancer. If I'm not misreading things, you're codependent with your mom. That needs to stop. You live 8 hours away. That's a good first step. Stop talking to your mom every day. Do it every other day, every third day. Build up to calling once or twice a week. Talk to her about little things and only talk to her about big, important decisions after you've already decided on what you're going to do. Go into therapy specifically to deal with your relationship with your parents. You will need therapy to really start understanding how everything is working out. There is a certain level of objectivity required that is extremely difficult to achieve on your own. As for rebuilding things with your dad, it sounds like it will be up to you. Is there anything he enjoys doing? Hiking, kayaking, football? Suggest doing it with him. Sit him down and straight up say, we have never had a good relationship and I would like to change that. If he isn't interested, let it go. Best of luck. And there is an update. The only thing I disagree with about that comment is how to go about kind of distancing yourself with your mom, because your mom has cervical cancer.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you spend a lot of time with her. I don't think that calling once a week or once every 2 weeks, I wouldn't want to do that if my parent was, had a very deadly disease.
Yeah, that really does change things. Because I was
Yeah.
gonna say, even without that aspect, I think only talking to her about like little things and like not really big decisions is like, well, I feel like you should still be able to talk to your mom about big decisions.
I talk to my mom, like, I talk to my parents almost every day.
Yeah.
And I think that parents should be, I mean, I understand that this is different, but like they should be someone that you feel comfortable talking to about like big things in your life, because that's why they're a good parent is there to guide you through, because they've gone through this life, you know?
I could see if the mom is a little dependent on OP, if like you wanted to kind of change that a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I could see like, you know, maybe not talking every day, maybe like every other day, something like that. But
yeah,
even then I think the main problem with their relationship is that the mom goes to OP with her emotional problems.
I think that's the issue here. I don't think that OP is overly, you know, dependent. I think the mom clearly has like anxiety problems. So yeah. It may mean that you can't talk to her every day, but I do think the circumstances are a little more complicated than this commenter is.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
Making out to be. But there's an update. As scheduled, I returned to my apartment and my job at the start of August. The last week with my parents was probably one of the worst ones I've had in a while.
Oh no.
My mom's anxiety related to her cancer and my impending departure had her hyper emotional and extremely sensitive. She unloaded her stresses, fears, and deep unhappiness onto me every day, along with a near constant barrage of complaints about my dad. See, that's when maybe you would want to distance yourself and be like, Mom, no.
Exactly.
Nowhere in these conversations was there a discussion of how I felt or how what she was saying made me feel. On my previous post, everyone commented that my mom and I were codependent. We're right. The moment I started to put some distance between us, things grew even more difficult. In the last few days before I left, I scheduled a bunch of dinners with friends to get out of the house. 2 days before I left, I spent longer than expected out with a friend catching up. My brother picked me up late and we got back to the house and it was complete chaos. I hadn't checked my phone while we were driving and it turns out that my mom had gotten confused about dinner. She expected me to be home by 6, at which point I would cook and everything would be fine. Before leaving, I had let her know that there was dinner in the fridge and if I was late or she was hungry before I got home, all she had to do was heat it up in the microwave. Well, she forgot. And when my dad walked in after a day at work, he freaked out that she was needy and hungry and the means to make dinner were not immediately available. We walked in the door close to 9 p.m. and he was just heating up the leftovers. He was short with me and I was exasperated. In the midst of all that, my brother's dog jumped on my mom's lap, landing on a tender spot from her cancer treatments. She started wailing uncontrollably and my dad lost it. He slammed his work bag in the counter, looking ready to unalive something. Meanwhile, my mom screamed at my dad for being so upset. My brother scooped up his dog, and we retreated to the yard for a bit while things cooled down. The next day, I took my driver's license road test and failed because I got too nervous. The day after that, I left as planned. My dad apologized for what happened when we drove down. I shrugged it off, focused on getting beyond the chaos. I now have been back in my apartment for a month, seeing my therapist regularly and working pretty effectively. They confirmed the problem is codependency, along with the sense that I had been more of a partner to my mom than my father in the last decade, which put me in the position of being a mediator between them and her advocate at the expense of a good relationship with other people. It became more evident to me that my mom uses me to vent, discuss major life choices, and be a close friend has gone far beyond a regular mother-daughter relationship. More so, I was just done with it. So maybe that commenter was way more on the money than I put the brakes on daily phone calls. I limited our messages. It hurt a lot to do it, but I realized I didn't need to fill her in on every detail of my day every day. Curbing the impulse was hard, and while it helped, I continued to feel guilty about it. I've struggled to understand when I should message her and about what. In the middle of August, we talked on the phone for the first time in 3 weeks, and she vented for 45 minutes about my dad again.
Oh, gosh.
I did everything I could to redirect her to other topics, to focus on fun things she had seen or done, but it just continued until I made an excuse to end the call. It was so draining to hear it, and while I tried to defend my dad for the first time, I didn't succeed. I also kept telling her over and over to tell him her complaints about herself, but she didn't listen to me. So our messages stopped again, to the point of going a few days with only a good morning text. Then I realized I wasn't getting any messages about her cancer appointments at all. Last week, I figured we had another week until she would get the results of a series of scans assessing her treatment's progress. Then my dad called me into a family conference call for the results on Tuesday, and I felt like I got hit by a truck. I had no idea her follow-up appointment was that day, and the news hit me doubly hard. The results were mixed, there was no new spread, and all but one of her tumors had shrunk. Problem is, the main tumor is the one that didn't shrink, and it currently poses the greatest problems. Bigger problem is that the main tumor actually grew a bit, so they stopped her current treatment protocol to reassess. My mom was again extremely emotional on the phone, which I get, but in some ways she was hyper-focused on the one bit of bad news. She spoke about the appointment like her doctors had told her there was nothing more they could do, which wasn't true. They were merely pausing to reevaluate her course of treatment. Our family is certainly in a different position than we were 8 months ago when the reoccurrence was evident. We are now facing some difficult conversations about the benefits of treatments versus the side effects, but there are many options. Last week, I felt lost after that conversation. I felt railroaded that I hadn't been told the appointment was even coming, and the news hit me doubly hard. It became evident that I needed to find a better way to communicate that was effective and to figure out some tools to keep my mom's complaints at bay. Yes. Which is, I think, kind of what I was thinking earlier, just to pause it really quick, because I think we've learned that commenter was pretty right on, the codependency and needing to cut back. But also I think that the fact that this cancer diagnosis is still a thing means that you can't completely do that, unfortunately.
Right. It really does complicate things a lot.
Yeah, because if this was a normal situation where you were codependent on your mom, and your mom was completely healthy, you probably could just cut back. Yeah. And then slowly that relationship may become more healthy. But here, it's so much more complex because she is obviously putting a lot of emotional weight on you, but also, to be fair to her, she's going through just something unimaginable.
Yeah.
Of being scared that you might pass away. I started with small messages to my brother and my dad, and even a few phone calls with my sister-in-law. They in turn have kept me in the loop with a few messages a day. My messages with my mom stop when she turns negative. I think that, And I continue to start with positive discussions about things she's seen or done that she enjoyed. Fast forward to today, a week later from my family conference call, I just got off the phone with my dad after an hour-long discussion. For the first time in my life, my dad opened up to me about his fears, about how much he's struggling, but most of all, about how flustered he is by the thought that he's ruined our relationship beyond repair with his workaholism. Turns out my brother and he have been talking, and my brother has brought to his attention some of the issues I have with him. He confessed that he didn't immediately realize how hurtful his actions have been towards me, but he wants to work on this. I told him I was figuring a lot out, but that I knew I wanted to fix our lack of relationship too. He continues to see a counselor I had referred to him through the cancer clinic, and it's insane how much progress he's made in a few weeks on his biggest flaw. Just being aware that what he says and does can be hurtful, especially when he comes home from work pent up with frustration and takes it out on us. My dad ended our call by saying that he was going to ask his boss for a leave of absence at work to investigate the option. Wow. Just huge change. He's not sure how it would work financially just yet, but this is an opening I never would have conceived of just a month ago. My dad's job has always been his life. Things with my mom remain difficult. I feel stuck because of her cancer. There is, in some ways, no time to waste. But I also need space, and I haven't found the best way to externalize our phone calls or handle them when they come in a way that won't involve me just hanging up. But there is a way forward. In slowly refocusing what we talk about and how, as well as how I deal with her complaints about my dad. And by the way, we hope that you never have complaints about how many full episodes we have with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left. My final thought, and I would love to hear yours, is, or one of them at least, is for OP to be there for her mom in an effective way. She needs to take care of her mental health. And so I think it's pretty smart to know when she needs to take a break and
That's
a breather.
A good point.
And realize, you don't have to feel guilty about needing that time and space for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a very smart improvement to not kind of respond to the negativity stuff. And
still text her and still message her and talk.
But just try to kind of veer it away from that stuff. And that's great that the dad is feeling this way, because if OP wanted to ask if this was I forget if it's the comments or OP that said that, an option is to talk to the dad about what kind of things you guys can do together, or like how to repair your relationship. It's like,
Yeah.
it seems like the dad wants to, which is great.
Yeah.
And I think taking leave of absence, like, because if he is noticing how his relationship with OP has been affected by his workaholism, maybe he'll think the same way with his wife.
Yeah.
And then things can just overall improve. That's the hope.
And it seems like the dad's therapy is working already. So
That's great.
yeah. But of course, we don't have all the answers. So, take this one day at a time and get therapy. But there is a little bit more. Overall, I just wanted to thank everyone here for assessing my rant of a post the first time and for giving me names for issues I've come to recognize plague my life. Today, for the first time, I see a way forward. This is the kind of opening I want to seize, even though there's a lot of crap coming with my mom's cancer and whatever her next course of treatment brings. Thank you.
Wow.
That's a tough story.
That's a complicated situation.
So complicated.
Wow.
Which cancer, unfortunately, usually is.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's affected by that, love and hearts and, for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is really hard for everyone involved.
Yes.
But
sounds like they're working on it.
yes,
Putting in the work, because they, at the end of the day, they do care about each other.
absolutely.
So
Clearly. My sister kept asking to talk to my husband, but refuses to tell me why.
It's just a secret.
So it was my birthday a few days ago. Happy birthday. And holy heck, did it end terribly. I don't care about my birthday, but my kids do, so I let my husband do the bare minimum for me. More for my kids to be able to sing and eat cake. By the way, this comes from Where It Rains, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, anyway, I am the middle of 3, older sister, younger brother, and per my request, only my mom, my siblings, their significant others, and their kids were invited for a quick little dinner party to celebrate another lap around the sun. After dinner, everyone scattered through the house and the yard, just hanging out, normal gathering stuff. Dude, this makes me want to have a little family gathering, like a really chill one. Then, out of nowhere, my sister came to me asking where my husband was. I told her I had no idea. Probably in the garage, where he tends to be a lot of the time, messing with his tools. Since her husband was unable to join for dinner because he worked late, my husband was more doing his own thing during the festivities. Our husbands get along well, so when we all get together like this, they just hang out together. She told me she had already checked there and he wasn't there. So I said, I don't know, and went back to talking with my brother. She came back shortly after and again asked me for my husband. I still didn't know. I had been inside the same spot with my brother the whole time. When she asked me a third time, I told her I still hadn't seen him and asked it, why did she need to know?
Why do you need to know?
She straight up told me that it was none of my business. Like, what? I felt so disrespected.
It's literally my husband. He's like half of my business, dude.
All I said was that it sure as heck was my business why she needed him, because he is my husband and she is only connected to him through me. I did have a bit of an attitude when I said it, not gonna lie, but her reaction threw me off. She basically accused me of accusing her of wanting my husband, not where my brain was at all. It turned into an argument and I got called a witch a few times. We didn't yell at one another, but there was an attitude, and I dropped a few F-bombs. I tend to have a sailor's mouth even when I'm not angry. My mom was nearby and said my reaction was uncalled for. My brother said that her saying it wasn't my business wasn't that big of a deal. He thought maybe she wanted him to help her surprise me or something since it was my birthday. He didn't think I overreacted, but he felt the entire argument was pointless. My sister gathered her kids and took off angry at me. Was I the a-hole?
Who knows?
Considering she was looking for him for a while and asked me about him multiple times, I didn't think I overstepped in asking what she needed him for. Maybe I could have helped her. Little backstory. My sister tends to bug my husband for favors, like checking her car. He's a hobby mechanic. Helping carry heavy stuff from one place to another, even if her husband is present. That's weird. Or if we're at my mom's house and she shows up with a lot of stuff, she'll ask my husband for help. My husband is very active and is used to making himself useful no matter the situation. All of his brothers are like this. He also doesn't like being rude, so he never says no. Maybe this played a part in why I was bothered. Her husband is not like mine, and I don't feel the need to ask him for favors the way my sister always asks my husband. Because I have my own husband. And even if I were to ask her husband for anything, and she asked me what for, I would obviously tell her. He's her husband. Comments. Comment 1 says, not the a-hole, and it almost sounds like your husband was avoiding your sister. Possibly. Reply, your husband really needs to stand up for himself, have boundaries, and say no without explaining why. He's a role model for your kids. They need to have autonomy, choices, and their voices heard. Plus, other adults will continue to manipulate and disrespect him. In turn, this disrespects you. Comment 2, not the a-hole. If she said it all cute, none of your business, birthday girl, then yeah, it was for your birthday. But she didn't. She was straight up rude. And the updates clinched it well. She wants a favor, and anything that has to do with your husband is your business. Next family gathering, just have you, your husband, and your kids. Maybe just invite his family instead. Opie says that was my initial thought the first time she asked me. I was like, okay, wait, she's making it too obvious now. I know to expect something. If it would have been playful, cool, obvious, haha. But then that whole attitude and tone just confused me. Comment 3 says, I guess if you ever go back to talking and she asks for your husband, I would just repeat, what can I help you with? And what can I get your husband to do for you? Opie says she never goes through me to get to my husband because that is what I already do. Another reason her continuously asking me for him tripped me up. Comment 4, why did your family side so quickly and easily with your sister? Is there history? OP says, I can be harsh when I'm mad, and she is sensitive. My mom only saw her ask about my husband once, I think. And there is an update. Oh, wow. I did not think this post would have so much traction. Oh, I haven't talked to my siblings or mom since it happened. For starters, you guys are funny. My husband wasn't in hiding or avoiding anyone, lol. I think it's important to note that we live in a house with a pretty big yard, like a ranch, but without the animals. My sister probably just didn't go far enough to find him. I did ask him after it all went down where he was. He came in confused after my sis took her kids to ask why they left. Turns out he was all over the place throughout the festivities. He was playing with the kids for one bit, then was at the gate with the neighbor whom he shared adult soda with, since they're cool. With my dad for another bit, was indeed in the garage yet another bit. I told her to go look there because that's where he usually is when he goes missing. When my brother-in-law is around, they're easy to find because they tend to punt it in one spot, drinking and whatnot. Like I said in my post, my husband is always in motion. He chills when he's with someone there to chill with. If not, he is never in the same spot. Make sense? Also, people seem to think he just set up the gathering and took off, which wrong. He did celebrate with me and interacted with everyone throughout and whatnot. We're just not together at every single moment. People also said I seemed controlling. I'm not my husband's keeper, as many stated, and I do trust him. I don't keep tabs on him, which is why wherever he was, I was unaware. Nor did I care because I was under the impression he was just hanging out somewhere else.
Right. The issue came not from that, but just the principle of like, where's your husband? Oh, I don't know. What do you need? Do you need him for something? Yeah, I want to tell him something. Oh, what do you need to tell him? None of your business.
And I only asked her why she needed him because of her persistence, and to see if maybe she needed something I could help with instead. I have talked to him about continuously helping her in the past, and I've told him that she has her own husband. She could ask him. To which he always responds, I know, but I'm right there. I don't mind. My brother-in-law is kind of lazy, and my husband sees it more as a favor to his buddy than to my sister. He isn't like that with just her, for the record. He's like that with everyone. I do find it annoying sometimes, but his brothers and his mom are the very same. I get more annoyed at my sister because I do agree that she takes advantage of his helpful nature, but so does my mom. My dad is fragile, can't lift heavy things, etc. So same thing, my husband sees it as doing it for my dad. Yeah, that's tricky because it seems like he's going to help if people ask him to help.
Yeah.
And if you say anything about it, everyone's like, why are you complaining? He can do what he wants. He's an adult man.
Which is true.
Which is true, but you're just standing up for him.
Which is also true.
Now, as some people mentioned, if it would have been a playful, none of your business, I would have reacted differently because my mind did go to a possible surprise too, like so many of you. But she had a tone when she said it, and it seemed less wait and see, yay, and more mind your business. And yes, I was annoyed. I am also the type of person that, depending on the way things are said to me, is how I will react. That's a everybody person, I think.
I would like to think that most people react differently based on how things are said.
I feel like that's in every
like
every
if
person.
I go, hi, Sophia,
I'd be like, oh.
You'd be like, hello.
Yeah, hello.
But if I went, hi, Sophia,
I'd be like, hello.
You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was something she felt she didn't want me to know, like something about her own husband, that's all she had to say, and I would have understood. About my family siding with my sis, that's just how it is. That sucks. I tend to be more monotone when I'm mad, but I can be harsh. Like I said, I curse a lot. My sister is more sensitive and cries easily. My brother didn't side with anyone, I don't think. He just didn't think it was that big of a deal to lead to a whole argument.
Yes, we were right. We were correct about that.
And OMG, I really hope everyone is wrong about her actually wanting my husband. Jealous that her husband isn't more like my husband, maybe, and hopefully this is why she said that. I choose to believe it's the latter for my own sanity. I think that's true.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thanks to this post, I had to ask him if she has ever been weird with him or made him feel uncomfortable, and he said no. And I had to tell him what she said. His conclusion is what I hope is true, and more jealousy than a crush. About his phone. Him and my brother-in-law have each other's numbers, but not him and my sis. I will not go through his phone. I don't need to. If he's driving and he gets a text, he will have me grab his phone to see who he's messaging him. If he has to respond right away, he will have me do it. He doesn't even have a password on his phone. That's how secretive he is. My goodness.
Again, it's like the reverse. It's like it's so not secret that it's suspicious.
It's even weirder.
He's got a second phone with only WhatsApp.
Yeah. I'll update this as needed. Thank you all for your replies. And there is an update. So I talked to my husband about the situation extensively over the last few days. Haven't talked to my sister still as of this post. Turns out my sister's husband and my husband briefly talked on their own about this whole ordeal a few days back. What do you think they said?
I think they were like, she'd tell you about the thing. And then he was like, yeah, tell me about the thing. And they were like, do you want to like come over and build stuff in the garage?
You want a drink?
And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And then they just built a contraption together.
Yeah, I think so. According to her husband, it was indeed some sort of surprise. He couldn't specify what was planned as she didn't tell him. And he didn't know, but that as far as their exchange went, he didn't mention her accusation of my accusation, which I found odd since if the script were flipped, I would definitely tell my husband because just no, my brother called to tell me it was for a surprise too, as he had initially thought. After these exchanges, I felt like the biggest a-hole despite her tone. I ended up attempting to meet with her at our parents' house earlier today. My mom watches her kids after they get out of school, so she goes there every day during the week. And the outcome was not what I expected at all. I texted sis that I would be there when she got her kids, if that would be okay, to which she did not respond. I went anyway to clear the air. Her husband went to pick up the kids instead of her. She won't respond to my texts or answer the call I gave her, and my mom just keeps saying I need to apologize for being mean, but to give her time because I really hurt her.
Okay, but grow up.
Come on,
What do you
adult.
mean you really hurt her?
She's an adult.
She's
an adult.
She sounds like an idiot. I'm sorry. But you're planning a surprise for someone, and then the person you're planning the surprise for, you go and ask them where their husband is?
I don't know how much of the initial argument my mom heard, but I am sure I never accused her of any foul play with my husband. I never thought that and still don't, although many of you do. I had to call my brother to confirm, to which he remembers her being offended that I asked her what she needed a husband's name for, and instantly went to her thinking that grossness is what I meant. But that accusation never came out of my mouth.
Right.
Except to tell her that I never said anything remotely close to that. He tried to tell her that I did not say anything like that, but she told him to butt out, so he did.
All right, well, that's a smart man.
The brother's like, no, she didn't say, shut up. And he's like, okay.
All right, I'm leaving.
Please don't judge my brother for this, but he is close to a decade younger than us. And my mom has always gone in on his case when he tries to defend me because then he's picking sides. He gets along better with me than sis. Yeah, because your sister is kind of a lot. I will be giving my sister her space and will distance myself from her overall. Sad for all the children involved, I know. I attempted to apologize for my crappy attitude, and that if it was for a surprise, I'm sorry that I ruined it. No one could tell me what the surprise was, so there goes that. I was also going to tell her I was not upset that she was looking for my husband. I was more upset at the way she told me it was none of my business. I took offense to that, as disrespectful to me and as an individual, and as the person in question's wife. Probably due to some underlying issues I do have with my sister. I could go into detail and vent about it to strangers on the internet, but wouldn't know what part of Reddit to post to, lol. By the way, I know that you can find full episodes with stories just like this Just
Tell
go
them
to
where to go.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app in search of what?
Okay, story time.
On his
There we
head.
go. It's on his head.
Right?
In conclusion, I can accept I overreacted, but based on the conversations with my husband and my bro and the comments on here, I was not necessarily an a-hole. Also, yes, I do use humor as a crappy way to cope with my problems. I'm working on it.
No, stop.
Don't
Don't
we
work on
all?
that.
Don't we all?
Don't work on
Hey,
that.
yo.
Make it a core part of you and never let go of it.
Thank you to everyone that read and responded. Whether you believe I'm justified or if you thought I was the a-hole, I don't mind being called out on my crap, if such crap exists. I read every comment and took all feedback into consideration.
Oof.
And that is the end of the story.
That is.
My sister-in-law caused Thanksgiving drama but refused to own up to her mistakes.
Why?
Some of you may remember my previous post, which I deleted due to privacy concerns, about the Thanksgiving drama. Short recap, my husband's grandma passed away, and the funeral was the day before Thanksgiving. I helped my husband's brother's wife, sister-in-law, with their 2 kids during the funeral and tried to keep the 3-year-old quiet, but it didn't work. He was very disruptive. Sister-in-law finally removed the kids from the church and then sulked in the bedroom for the rest of the day. By the way, this comes from Corzoral PFBJ. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So later that evening, the 3-year-old started antagonizing our elderly dog by running at him and yelling. They had never had any issues before this. His dad told him no. My husband told him no. And I told him no. He did it twice more. And the last time the dog growled. We removed the dog from the situation and sister-in-law swooped in saying to the 3-year-old, "Come on, no one wants you here. It's just a darn dog." She then tried to get her husband to take them to a hotel because no one wants the kids here. Sister-in-law sulked all Thanksgiving morning and refused to speak to me. Then she defriended me on Facebook. My husband made some snarky comments that I'm 99% sure sister-in-law overheard. Everything came to a head at Thanksgiving dinner when sister-in-law ignored her mother-in-law, whose mother had just been buried the day before, and in whose house we were staying. My husband lost his temper and yelled at her, "I'm sorry that OP tried to keep your child quiet at a funeral. I'm sorry that we tried to keep our dog from biting your son. You can be mad at me, but don't take it out on the family, and especially not my mom." Good on OP's partner.
I agree, although I am admittedly a little out of the loop because I was making sure Drive Turkey's not racist, and it's not. It's not.
Sister-in-law got angry and yelled at him and me, saying that we have no value because we have no children. More yelling followed. Sister-in-law and her family left, saying they were never coming back. Mother-in-law was in tears, thinking she had lost both her grandchildren and her mother within 5 days. She literally begged my husband and me not to leave. Obviously, we stayed. The general consensus on how to proceed is don't engage. There's nothing to apologize for. She's acting immature. My husband probably should apologize for making snarky comments, but overall, sister-in-law was the one creating drama, acting inconsiderate towards mother-in-law, and making a funeral about herself. Since then, it's been completely radio silence until today. Sister-in-law sent my husband this email. OP's husband, you may not like me either, but what happened during Thanksgiving was sister-in-law, was a disaster, and I feel bad that it happened. As a mother, I will not let anything or anyone hurt my kids, and I will always be their protector, their defender, and be there for them. We didn't handle the situation very well regarding 3-year-old's behavior during the funeral service, or just in general while being in the house. But we also have to remember that he's 3 years old and doesn't know any better when it comes to handling his own behavior, let alone being quiet at a funeral service. And that's why you as the parents have to know better. Emotions were high, everyone was stressed out, and things just got out of hand. I'm reaching out to you to apologize in hopes we can all move forward. I know it will take time, but I don't want 3-year-old to think he doesn't have uncle, or aunt OP anymore because he does like being around you guys, sister-in-law. And there are some comments. That's not a terrible one, but also kind of not taking any responsibility for the funeral situation.
Yeah, I was just
It's like
waiting
a worse
for the real apology, and it just kept on. The quality of the apology just kept going
Yeah.
downhill.
Yeah,
Like the
it
more
started off like okay,
words
but
were
it
said.
wasn't great. It was just kind of meh. It wouldn't make me feel better about it. I'd be like, okay, probably share it to everyone I knew and be like, oh my God, look what she said to me. Her excuse of him being 3 and not knowing any better is BS. As a teacher who regularly sees 3-year-olds passing in the lunchroom or to their buses, because they are 100% capable of knowing better. It is the way you teach them and show them what to do. Comment 2, you feel weird about the apology because she's trying to change the facts of what happened. You are upset because in a stressful situation, she reacted with anger and aggression and kept escalating and escalating until there was a blow-up fight. She's apologizing for her child behaving badly and becoming too aggressive in his defense. You were angry at her behavior, but she is acting like you were unfairly angry at her young child. She is changing the facts to make herself look better and force you to welcome her back, which is a crap thing to do whilst you're supposedly trying to make amends. The best thing for the whole family is probably if you all get past this, though. But that doesn't mean you have to pretend like her apology is the truth, and feel free to bring up her misinterpretation of the situation before you proceed. And there is an update. Do you have any other thoughts?
I think that last one was perfect, where it's like, feel free to bring up the fact that she's off base, because it's like this is all just like too much. It needs to be so much, like, there's a simple way to do this, and it's just being like, I was wrong, I made a mistake, please forgive me, like, shouldn't have reacted that way.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like that, but then all this other stuff around it where it's like, but actually, I'm perfectly justified in everything that I've done.
So it's not really my problem.
Right.
So after sister-in-law sent that very toxic apology, my husband was very upset about it, and so was I, after I took some time to process and read all of your very helpful comments. He decided not to write back right away and to take some time to think about an apology. We usually email back and forth during the work week to talk about stuff, and I sent him a summary of what I had gleaned from your help, which was borrowed heavily from someone else. This isn't an apology. She doesn't seem contrite, and she's reframing this as, I'm sorry for wanting to take care of my child. No, that is not what this is about. She acted entitled, petulant, immature, and boorish. We're not expecting a 3-year-old to be perfectly behaved at all times. It's her attitude and actions that we take issue with. Your mom, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's mother-in-law, deserves a real apology. It wasn't fair to her to make her mother's funeral more stressful. It wasn't fair for her to have to face losing her mother and her best friend, and potentially her oldest son and grandchildren in the space of 2 days. It wasn't appropriate for sister-in-law to ignore her and give her the silent treatment because sister-in-law was upset with us. If she was legitimately upset with the way that I interacted with 3-year-old during the funeral, she needed to pull me aside and have an adult conversation about it and ask me to not do those things and explain why. If she was upset with the way that both of us interacted with 3-year-old about the dog, then she needed to pull us aside and have an adult conversation about it and try to resolve whatever it was that she was upset about. She should have included me in that email or sent me a separate apology. Not including me in the greeting, not including me on the email, deleting and blocking me on a Facebook is still giving me the silent treatment that she started at Thanksgiving. You and I are a team. I am part of this family too, and this situation involved both of us. Looking back on this, I'm not sure how valid this point is about me giving me the silent treatment. I'm not sure if she even has my email address, although she certainly has my phone number. I do kind of feel like sister-in-law is leaving me out on purpose, but I don't really have any evidence other than the fact that she didn't include me in the apology at all, other than the last sentence with the emotional manipulation part. Saying, you have no value because you have no children, is a crappy thing to say and a horrible thing to believe. What about the millions of people on this earth who are unable to have children? Is she saying that those people are worthless? Is she saying that human beings are only valuable if they reproduce? What if her own children grow up and decide not to have kids? Would that mean that her children have no value? That is horrible. That is not okay. This was an extremely hurtful thing to hurl at us, and she needs to apologize for saying this. And although this probably won't happen and isn't really our place to tell her, she needs to examine her own beliefs and think about what made her say that in the first place. Obviously, a 3-year-old isn't going to be as well behaved as a first grader, but children and toddlers aren't exactly stupid. They can understand social cues way better than they can speak or throw a ball, for example. Look at 3-year-old's cousin who is the same age. He was at the same funeral in the same pew, and he was perfectly well behaved because his parents brought quiet toys for him and taught him how to behave. On top of that, the whole, it's just how 3-year-olds are and there's nothing poor little me can do about it, is just a really crappy attitude to have when you're raising a child. I mean, also, if he was crying, you take him outside.
Right.
You deal with his emotions, not in front of everyone.
Police the children in private.
Sure. Try harder. You don't start from a point of failure and expect success to materialize. Saying, I just want my child to have an uncle and aunt, is classic emotional manipulation. Instead of hashing it out between the three of us, the adults, she's using 3-year-old as bait. He isn't involved in this except parenthetically. The problem we have is with sister-in-law's attitude, and sister-in-law's behavior. Husband agreed with all of these points and told me that he still needed to think about how to respond, which I told him was completely completely fine and that I understood. We went ahead and sent Christmas presents to them. Although we haven't received any gifts from them, they did send a non-personal Christmas postcard last week. We didn't spend much money, under $70, and kept it very generic for the adults. A book for brother-in-law, a lotion chapstick set for sister-in-law, and tailored the gifts for the kids. Minion puzzle for 3-year-old who loves Minions, sippy cup for baby, and topped it off with a $20 Target gift card for the whole family in a generic card that just said Merry Christmas with our names. Well, sister-in-law texted both husband and me on Christmas Eve with pictures of the kids with their presents and said Merry Christmas. I responded with Merry Christmas back to her. The day after Christmas, she texted both of us again with a picture of the baby smiling and holding the sippy cup and said that he loved the cup and asked where we got it. Husband responded with the place and we made some small talk about it, exchanging about 3 to 4 texts. Husband and I took turns responding. Later that afternoon, I got on Facebook and noticed that I had a friend request. Sister-in-law refriended me after the conversation. Okay. Some progress.
A little bit.
That's something.
Somewhat.
I'm uncomfortable with accepting her request until my husband responds. I told him that she had requested to be my friend again and told husband that I didn't want to accept until he responded. He agreed that I shouldn't accept until he responds, but that he wasn't sure what to write. I suggested using a version of the following response. Thank you for writing and apologizing. To be clear, none of us were angry at 3-year-old. We were frustrated and hurt by your behavior. It was a hard few days for all of us, especially my mom, and your behavior really hurt feelings, especially the way you treated mom during dinner and then shouted at us about not having children. Yeah, I feel like the initial apology was her being like, oh yeah, you just hate my 3-year-old. And everyone's like, no.
Right.
You behaved badly.
Right.
Your 3-year-old was a 3-year-old.
Right.
You are an adult.
No one here hates the 3-year-old. They're 3.
Yeah. We understand that it was a stressful time, but it is not okay for you to treat the family that way. In the future, if you're having an issue with either of us, please pull us aside so we can have a private conversation and work it out then and there. We appreciate you reaching out, and we agree that we should all move forward together. Glad that you all enjoyed your Christmas gifts. Thanks for the pictures. He read it and thought it was a good start to a letter and said that he would tinker with it, but that he wasn't ready to send a response yet. I'm a bit frustrated with this because I don't want to offend sister-in-law by letting her friend request it and starting a whole bunch of new drama. But I also am not going to accept it until husband sends a response. To me, accepting her friend request feels like a tacit acceptance of her apology. In some ways, I wonder if we shouldn't have sent gifts or responded so much to her texts. However, I do want to make peace, so I do think it was good that we did those things. At least she can't say we weren't civil. I'm not sure why my husband is dragging his feet so much. I think it's probably because this is the first time in 10 years that he's really stood up to her and not let her get away with throwing a fit. He's also a peacemaker and very non-confrontational, which I think is playing into. I completely understand needing time to process and thoughtfully compose a response, but it's been 2 weeks since sister-in-law sent her apology, and I would like to get this resolved. Am I being ridiculous? Should I just go ahead and accept her request? I really don't want to until husband responds. Should I let my husband take things on his own timeline, or should I continue to encourage him to respond? The only reason I'm feeling pressure to resolve it is the Facebook thing. Should I just let that go? And there is a second update, I think, to finish off this story, but what do you think? Let it go?
We're getting lost in the sauce here, dude.
Yeah, Albie's like, should I accept the request?
Accept the
Sure.
request and then
such a
send her
minor
a message
thing.
being like, I think your apology was lacking.
Yeah, go. I honestly stop sending her messages. Call her.
Yeah.
Call her and be like, hey, it felt like that apology didn't really, like, I wasn't really satisfied with that. I would like to talk more about this issue.
I am always a fan of the IRL mouth-to-mouth freestyle.
That's true. Edit 2. Small update. The day after I posted this, we went to a 5K race with my husband's parents that we were planning on going to with them for several months. Right before the race, sister-in-law texted me later that day. First time she's directly spoken to me since the whole thing, and asked, is your husband ever going to speak to me again? I've tried reaching out to him via email and text. I responded, I showed my husband first and asked if it was okay, and he said it was fine, and said, I'm sorry, just got your text. I haven't seen the text for about an hour because I didn't have my phone on me. He was really upset and told me that he still needs some time to process, that he'd rather wait than send something he'd regret because he's still upset. Thank you for reaching out, and I think we all want to move forward. I think he needs a little more time, but that he will send a response when he's ready. I do want to express that I'm still feeling a little hurt too. And I would really like to have a phone conversation with you, yes, sometime soon to talk so we can have a good relationship going forward. She didn't respond. I primarily want to talk to her about two things based on the comments and based on how I'm feeling about the situation. In the future, how do you want me to interact with your children? I don't want to step on any toes, and I don't think I was out of bounds in what I did, but if she has an issue with me doing anything other than playing with them, then I would like to know. I pretty much view what happened from my end as a normal authority figure oversight, trying to entertain him and keep him quiet, and trying to keep him from antagonizing a dog and getting hurt. I would like to hear her view of what happened and understand what she was feeling when I was doing those things. I would like to know what line she felt I overstepped so that in the future I can be sure not to overstep that. I think it was mostly with the funeral stuff. If she has a problem with the way we handled the dog situation, I don't think I would ever feel comfortable being in the same room with my nephew because I won't stand by and do nothing if there's a chance he might get hurt. If appropriate, I would like to ask if she's okay. Some pointed out that she might be overwhelmed with the kids, and I think that might be a really good insight. I'm not going to demand an apology or anything. If she wants to give a real apology, then she will. If she doesn't, I think I can let it go. But I don't want to be walking on eggshells the next time we visit, wondering if the way I interact with my nephew is going to make her upset again. But you know what never makes me upset?
I do know.
Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a teeny tiny bit left to the story.
Yeah, I agree with everything.
Yeah, that was a great response. Yes. I think that you know what you need to do. Got to have that phone conversation, get it off your chest, and then move forward.
Plan it in some way, I guess, and you can't really demand the apology. That would be weird. So, but although
you can express to her that you were hurt, that this is how you felt about the apology, but don't request anything of her. She will do what she wants to do, At the 5K, I walked with his mom, and he and his dad both ran it. I was planning on bringing up the subject and asking her advice, since she has known sister-in-law for much longer, and because sister-in-law was so rude to her. But as soon as mother-in-law and I were alone, she brought it up and asked if we had heard anything. I told her that sister-in-law had sent a sort of, but not really apology, didn't go into specifics, and mother-in-law said that she got a very similar email that wasn't actually an apology, but a bunch of excuses. She didn't go into specifics either. Go into specifics, man. Come on.
Get into those specifics.
Mother-in-law said that she was completely fed up and didn't want to deal with her after years of this kind of behavior, and that she hasn't responded and doesn't plan to, and advised me to just leave it alone, but I'd already sent the message, so I don't really know. I'm not sure if I should wait for sister-in-law to respond or if I should text again and ask if there's a good time for me to call her. Let her respond, honestly.
Just let her.
Yeah, you've already given the little olive branch. See if she takes it. That's on her at that point.
You've done what you can. You've done what you must.
Yep.
Now you must leave the rest with her trust.
Trust. You must leave the rest.
With her
You gotta
musk.
trust.
With a musk.
Are you ready for this next story? My sister-in-law's pregnancy is suspicious, and I can't help but gossip about it. I, 22 female, have an older brother, John, 32 male, who has been with his fiance, Jane, 30 female, for 4 years. They have a 4-month-old. Jane found out she was pregnant at 5.5 weeks and immediately called my mom to tell her. My mom was confused, but still very excited.
Okay.
By the way, this comes from Throwaway Gosh Darn It. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So Jane said she was going to tell John when he got back from his work trip. Tell John about the baby. A few hours later, she called again, sobbing, saying she has insatiable cravings. Mom made a joke like, isn't it a bit early for cravings? So maybe suspicious timing of the baby. And Jane went off at her. She started yelling about how this was her pregnancy and no one else's. It was an odd reaction. She also apologized for her outburst by blaming it on hormones. When my brother returned from his trip, him and Jane left to stay at her mother's, and we didn't see her until after the baby was born.
Also, pregnancy cravings usually arrive around 5 to 8 weeks during the first trimester.
Okay.
The timeline matches.
The timeline matches. John said this was because Jane was afraid of losing the pregnancy and wanted to be with her mom, and we needed to respect the boundaries. But I feel like, there's some suspiciousness going on. Whenever someone would ask about Jane or the baby, they would shut it down with vague answers like every pregnancy is different, or she's carrying small, which isn't unusual. They barely shared anything about the pregnancy. No ultrasound pictures, no baby shower, and Jane didn't want anyone around during the delivery.
Oh, God. Why? Like, for what?
I also discovered that every craving she listed came from one article about pregnancy cravings. She even listed multiple items in the same order as the article.
Bro, at least like you gotta talk with chat, like just change the variation a little bit.
When the baby was born, we were finally allowed to see Jane and John, and the baby, of course. It was very bittersweet, as we all wished we could have been there for Jane to help out, but Jane and John both assured us we did help out by staying away during the pregnancy. The weirdest part, though, is how Jane describes the birth. She claims she had an epidural via IV drip into her hand, edited because I didn't elaborate, which is not how those are administered. Isn't it like in the spine?
Yeah, they go straight to the spine.
Straight to the spine, which we know because we're
women experts.
We're women experts now. Inside joke. I guess not that inside. It was on the public stream. When I asked clarifying questions, thinking she had gotten confused, which is understandable, she shut down and refused to answer, like how she would during the pregnancy.
Uh-oh.
So what are our conspiracy theories here, gentlemen?
I mean, there's the big fake elephant in the room, which is there is no pregnancy and no baby.
Okay.
But there's a baby.
Well, we only saw her pregnant at 5 weeks, and usually at 5 weeks, no one's really that showing. And then they didn't see him.
So, is this baby a surrogate baby? Is this baby adopted? I want to know your conspiracy theories.
2 for 2? A fair baby?
A fair baby? But wouldn't she be carrying that baby?
Have to have it.
Yeah.
She's
lying. They're saying a baby is adopted. There is a baby.
Yeah.
There's definitely a baby.
Also, what's the motive? Like, why is she trying to lock him down? Like, what would incentivize her to do this?
Maybe she wants people to think that the adopted baby is her real baby.
Or we flip it on its head and OP's just jealous.
Yeah, maybe that too.
Dude.
But to continue, she said the baby had latching issues because he was born with no umbilical cord stump. This can technically happen, but it's a rare and fatal medical condition that their baby does not have. So like a no belly button baby, you don't have an umbilical stump, so you don't know. The final straw was when she told us that the baby basically fell out of her within an hour of being in labor, despite my brother telling us how hard the birth was, and even stating that was why they weren't going to try for any more kids.
So the brother's in on it too?
The brother's in on it too.
What is...
Chell Bell says some women are very sensitive to infertility issues.
Okay.
Casey Leaf, she's infertile and ashamed. Nix adopted a fair baby. I don't know about that one. But,
I don't know how that works. The math doesn't math.
The math. I don't know if the math is. Math's. John had an affair, knocked someone else up, took that affair baby, and then placed it over here.
Because John is kind of acting weird too.
John's acting. They're all acting weird. Kat, you have no belly button?
Where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
Did you get a tummy tuck?
Is that possible?
I think if you get a tummy tuck, my mom almost didn't have a belly button.
After getting a tummy tuck?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's crazy.
So people would rather remove the belly button than have a belly button.
I mean, like belly buttons are cool, but like,
I don't
you
mind belly
don't
button.
need it.
Well, how are you going to do belly button shots?
That's a really important question.
When's the last time you did a belly button shot?
I mean,
last Tuesday.
not like that long ago. Like definitely this year.
But you don't need a belly. Wait, off yourself?
No.
But then you don't.
It's always
then
off of another person.
It's
okay.
And also like I don't want to have belly button shot imbalance. So like if you do a shot off someone else, then they have to do a shot off you. You know? Anyway, enough about belly button shots. Back to the story. Mom is on the same side as me and has been noting this inconsistency and inaccuracies, but doesn't know how to bring it up. And their reactions don't help. A few days ago, my brother texted Mom saying her doubt of Jane is disrespectful and they both want full apologies from both of us for bullying Jane about her pregnancy/labor. I haven't made any outright accusations about it, nor have I said any of this to Jane. I've only asked questions when she brings the birth/pregnancy up. Am I the a-hole for having some doubts?
Definitely.
So, is OP definitely not?
Yeah, I mean, like it's so weird, and she like flips out anytime anyone asks, like, "Wait, so you had like an epidural in your hand?" It's like, "No."
I mean, I feel like these are normal like baby questions, like how long was the thing, and it was like, oh, like epidural. I mean, it's just weird, and obviously there's lying going on.
Yeah.
Our conspiracy theory is the same, that it's a adopted/affair baby that was taken
the
in.
husband John's affair baby. That's crazy.
Also, this is Ugg says, I love all the guesses knowing the answer. John and I have no idea the answer. We don't pick these stories.
I mean, yeah.
So
we
are in the
blind
dark.
right now.
We are in the dark,
Yeah.
just the same as you. And also, our story picker is Lana. Shout out Lana.
Shout out Lana.
So it keeps it fresh and interesting. Sophia Gang Golf Callan says, I do think OP is the a-hole.
Really? Why?
Ali says, I've never asked about my friend's epidural. OP didn't ask about the epidural. They brought up the epidural and said it was through the hand. And they're like, oh, wait, isn't that usually on the spine?
Yeah, I guess it would kind of depend on how exactly, like what was the language and what exactly was said when they were talking about this stuff. Because if OP could have been prying and more, into it, but I don't know.
Well, let's see. So, OP's commenter, part of Llama comments. By all means, keep in mind that she may not be a reliable narrator, particularly if it comes to medical matters. This is talking about the fake baby lady. But other than that, just enjoy your nibbling. This is not a situation where you need to prove her wrong or set her right. And you're the a-hole if you continue to gossip. Also, why jump to lying, which implies ill intent? OP responds, because their stories change. One day the labor was grueling, touch and go, 24 hours. And the next day, he just slipped out and didn't even feel it. The labor was an hour or two max. One day I had an epidural given via IV drip in my hand. And the next, it's so quick and easy. I didn't need pain meds. One day he was born without an umbilical cord stump, so he doesn't latch easily. And the next, it was 100% healthy.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't seem like OP's harassing them
Yeah.
about it. OP's just like,
But don't
what's going
dive.
on?
But also, you don't need to get to the bottom of this case. You ain't Scooby-Doo. You ain't the mystery gang and the mystery machine, the Scooby-Doo gang. What do they call
That's
themselves?
true. The mystery gang.
The mystery gang, dude.
Is it the mystery gang?
Yeah, dude. I'll give you grace, though. You didn't watch it growing up.
Yeah, all you had was lions mating.
That's true.
That's literally all you had.
Yep,
bro.
I got
we
those 4
can't blame you.
Nat Geo tapes. I think getting to the bottom of this, like the mystery gang, is a-hole move, but being like, wait, I'm confused is, I think, okay.
Yeah, good distinction.
Everything about it changes on a day-to-day basis while my brother and sister-in-law try to insist there's nothing weird going on, and anyone who merely questions these changes is a gossip bully. I'm trying to be nice here and not imply ill intent, but when they jump down your throat for asking how much the baby weighed, it's hard not to. And commenter says, you're the a-hole. Sounds like they adopted a baby but are too scared to tell you, but not afraid to tell her side of the family because you might judge them. Welcome the baby and stop being nosy. It's really none of your business.
Dang.
I mean, yes, I think it's a weird move to lie about this, for sure, but it's also not your place to dive into it.
Well, what if your sister was being kind of weird about her pregnancy?
Yeah, I would be like,
What the heck? Why are you lying to me?
Yeah, so I think that might be what she's doing. She's like, these things are adding up.
yeah, I think it's fine to be like, what the heck? But at a certain point, I think you just lie to let it go, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like, it's okay to be curious, but as soon as you start either gossiping or trying to investigate or grill them, that's when we're getting into not good
It's
territory.
what's the point of that, OP says, I mean, I was adopted and John is a surrogate baby. What? That's a crazy combo. So I'm unsure about that part. Commenter, maybe at this point they are effing with you. And OP says, I hope so. I hope they're really good actors. And commenter, you're the a-hole. I doubt you and your mom are reliable narrators, especially considering Googling her cravings. I've had 3 children, no baby showers, and carried low with my first. You couldn't tell I was pregnant. And OP said, especially considered with the comment, especially considering you Googled her cravings. Yeah, haha, sister-in-law told me to. She kept saying her cravings were common and to look it up as proof. Then I found said article and realized she was listing every craving off the list. And commenter says, why does it matter? Why not just ask if they are adopted or use a surrogate if you want to know so badly? And OP responds, I love how they're fighting in the comments. I said I would love to adopt one day. I'm adopted too, but that surrogacy is also on the table. They both started crying when family asked if they were okay. My brother told my uncle to shut up and they left, so I don't know. And commenter responds, I feel like in any situation, it's totally reasonable to fact check. Just a question of what you do with the information. OP responds, but also they told me their newborn had this birth defect and didn't elaborate, so I Googled it because I'd never heard of it. Then I find out it has a 100% death rate. So now I'm assuming this newborn baby is going to pass away soon because all babies born with body stock anomaly live for a few days max. When I bring it up to them, they tell me, actually, no, he's not going to pass away and he doesn't really have a body stock anomaly. So I went from prematurely grieving this newborn's death and panicking that he was going to pass to being told it was actually actually fine. So like, how am I supposed to react to news about the baby now? More on the body stock anomaly. Body stock anomaly is a very different thing, and it means it's a defect in which the abdominal organs develop outside of a baby's abdominal cavity and remain attached directly to placenta. Yes, that is what they said the baby had. The baby very clearly does not have BSA, but that's what they said and continue to say the baby has /had. So they're continuing doing it.
And I'm going to be honest at this point, like, I wouldn't not do any, like, I feel like if I was in OP's shoes, I'd be like, because again, it's like, oh, the baby's going to pass away. And they're like, no, it's all good. I would be at least like,
what is going on?
What is going on? And kind of like, at least just like searching on my side. Because I'm like, are you good? Like, is the baby safe? Do you need help?
I don't like all this lying. I feel like the commenters are going into OP for being like, what's going on with this baby? But
I think it could be either way, where it's like it's this really weird, crazy situation where, like, again, maybe it's an affair baby and they're trying to cover it up or whatever the case might be, and they're kind of like just throwing everyone for a loop. Or maybe it is something like she was infertile, she feels really like ashamed about it and just doesn't want to go public with it, and is just like trying to, keep people off her back or something.
So,
Jeez.
all right. And TLDR for everyone who is asking or a little confused. Basically, OP's, is it brother or sister-in-law? I'm forgetting now.
I think OP's sister.
Sister-in-law, I think.
I'm just going to double check. Yeah, so OP's sister-in-law said that they were pregnant and then disappeared for the entire pregnancy, essentially. And now OP is a little suspicious of whether the baby is actually came from the sister-in-law, or if it was adopted or a surrogate baby. And the sister-in-law is obviously lying about where this baby came from, saying like one day it came out super quick and another day it came out super hard. So OP is like asking, am I the a-hole for investigating? And I think what we're coming to is, you're not the a-hole for asking questions, but obviously they're trying to cover this up and covering up badly for some reason. I think you're the a-hole for continuing to investigate to a crazy degree. And I think you know enough that they're obviously lying, so you don't need to like rub it in their faces. Just be like, okay, they're lying about this. I have no idea why. I'm just going to accept that, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
As long as no one seems to be in danger or anything like that, does it need to be, I will admit, it would be so hard not to, I think I could, stop myself from like, kind of like grilling them, but it's just so strange. Like I understand the impulse, but it's like you can't like grill them.
If this was my sister, I would be like, what? But it's my sister-in-law, so I'd probably be like, I probably wouldn't grill.
But then that's your sibling's partner though.
Yeah, I would grill my brother. I'll be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, grill the partner.
Yeah, it's just, and then wait, can you highlight that comment again, Riley? OP is just a concern for a family member, and all the lying just isn't needed. If you can't talk to your family about this, who can you talk to? I mean, normal family. Yeah, and then Jellybus says some families aren't normal. I don't know if is this family seems somewhat normal, but let's see what continues to happen. So. Top comment on the post. Ambitious Border 906 says, the reality is that nothing much adds up, but there's one reality you can buy into. Your brother and his fiance have a baby that is theirs. You can remain out of their lives forever or let your obsession go and enjoy your niece/nephew. Your choice, but you would be an a-hole if you choose option 1, which I think we're kind of going to. And OP has voted the a-hole. And we do have an update.
What a story. This is different.
Yeah, this is super different. I mean, it's just weird.
It's just weird.
It's just weird.
It's just strange.
I mean, why lie about your pregnancy?
Yeah.
To this degree. Why lie badly about your pregnancy? Terry Sapphire Frog says illegal adoption. Maybe that explains all the lying. I mean, it's not normal to lie to close family members. Sophia Gangolf Callan says it's still family if they're adopted. If they're stolen, then it's not. But that's police matters. I'd let the sister alone. This is Ugg says, I can't wait. Oh boy. All right. We're going to get into the update. You ready?
Let's run it.
So, 24 days later, update. I was right to have questions. After I made my post, I stopped talking to my mom about the pregnancy, but things still didn't add up. Fast forward to my brother's birthday, and the whole family was over at mom. Our aunts, uncles, cousins, and older brothers were all guests, and during the party, Jane mentioned how the baby had BSA, and our aunt called her out on it. She's a maternity nurse. It caused a huge argument where Jane and John left in a rage. But it turns out that Jane didn't give birth. The baby is actually a product of my brother's affair. We called it.
Got him.
Husband's affair, baby.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go. I mean, sorry. But yes.
It's always so crazy. It's like the worst thing possibly
Yeah.
imaginable. Yeah. Greatest guessers on earth.
Wait. Why is the sister-in-law going along with this?
I think
Now I have questions. I have more
protect
questions.
the
my
brother.
my guess would be like maybe it's like she doesn't have the self-worth and self-respect of like you know what, this guy is freaking Garbaggio. I need to get out of here and just build a
Garbaggio.
good life for myself. I'm just gonna stay with him and I'll help him hide it, and that's what I would guess is happening here.
But let's see. Let's keep going. He had been cheating on Jane with some woman for about 6 months before she got pregnant. Apparently, Jane and John offered her a lump sum of £25,000 for her to allow them to adopt the baby when it was born and to never interact with the baby or the family ever again. They didn't want this cheating to be found out, so they pretended Jane was pregnant and moved away. Jane's mom was in on the whole thing. The kicker, the punter, this all came out because the woman John had an affair with decided she wanted the baby back. Apparently, she hadn't been fully informed about the agreement's legal implications, and she felt pressured to sign it in the first place. She also barely speaks English, and the contract was all in English. She's now pursuing legal action against Jane and John to get full custody of the baby. She said she waited this long because she was afraid of her immigrant status getting in the way. All their closed-off answers and refusal to engage was because they were afraid of this coming out. Apparently, Jane was terrified of someone noticing the baby's eyes green. John and Jane both have blue eyes, but Lucy has green eyes. By the way, if you want to listen to more stories just like this, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but let's discuss John.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am
Wow.
floored.
Wow.
I've never seen a situation like this.
I mean, it's kind of like a surrogate situation-ish.
It's an affair surrogate.
It's an affair surrogate.
Yeah.
But wow.
And again, like to Riley's point, why did she go along with it? Like, get out of there. Like, that's not the situation
Yeah.
you
Well,
deserve.
if they're bribing someone 25,000 euros,
Moolah, young Moolah baby.
Oh, but
She-
you're talking about the wife.
I'm talking about the wife.
Yeah.
But to Riley's point, is the wife like, listen, I got it made in the shade. My hubby got them bags of cash.
Yeah.
So I don't want to leave that, and I'm
Yeah.
willing to
And I
lie
also
about
want a
this
baby.
affair baby.
And maybe she also does have fertility issues.
Maybe that's
And it's kind of
Yes.
like a win-win.
that.
I mean,
could be
not,
true.
not much win, but Susan Sharnaka says they used that poor woman.
Yeah. So skeevy of John. This John guy, very, very, very skeevy.
Yeah.
Slimy
Skeevy,
behavior.
Slimy John.
tell me about it.
Oh, wow. But we got a little bit more to this story. So
Oh.
things have gone to absolute crap. The whole situation is bigger than anything I could have imagined. I won't be updating unless something else crazy happens. I don't know if this was a sign to keep trusting my gut, but dang, I'll be logging off in a few hours. Thanks to everyone. And this is a commenter. You need to get your sister-in-law out of that toxic relationship ASAP. Help that girl wake up. And OP said, I mean, they both orchestrated taking advantage of the woman. They're made for each other. And another commenter, why didn't they just say they will adopt a baby? And OP says, well, that's what they did under the guise of tricking the woman. I don't know what the contract said exactly, but from what I know, my brother told her she'd be able to see the baby, but the contract said that by taking $25,000, she'd never see the baby or my brother / his extended family ever again. I feel awful for her, and I hope she can recover and get her baby back. And another commenter says, yikes, I hope this poor woman gets her baby back. In the U.S. at least, there's a visa for people who report a crime and cooperate with prosecuting the perpetrator.
Oh.
It's frequently used for domestic violence, but don't know the details of of whether they can be charged with a crime given the contract, maybe something like criminal coercion. In any case, I hope mama and baby are reunited and thrive together. Sorry you have to deal with the family mess, OP. And OP responds, we're in the UK where paid surrogacy is illegal unless it's for reasonable expenses. For example, buying your surrogacy maternity clothes is legal. Paying a lump sum of $25,000 is not. That's not even getting into the fact that they tricked her and didn't even attempt to provide a gender diverse Latour contract in her language, anything.
Wow.
Whoa.
Crazy.
So is OP the a-hole? Is OP the a-hole for investigating?
I don't know that OP, and maybe there was a little unreliable narrating going on. I don't know that that OP really bulldozed past the line here. Maybe was kind of on the line with being too before we knew what the actual situation.
I feel like it's okay to ask questions about something that's like obviously a lie.
It seemed not interrogating or grilling.
Yeah, it was just like, wait,
piece.
this person got this, but this is says translator, guys.
Translator, yeah.
A gender diverse I'm gonna read that. That's not even getting into the fact that they tricked her and didn't even attempt to provide a translator, a contract in her language, anything. But yeah, I think OP is not the a-hole. Even before we knew this, if this information never came out, I think still not the a-hole.
I think I agree. I don't know that she went past the line.
But the comments totally flamed her on Reddit.
It's true. I mean, again, there are scenarios where it's like you're just over. Again, a woman who's infertile and is like very ashamed and all this. Yes, totally understood. But OP didn't go past the line. That is where I think from all that we know.
All that we know. Well, we know. But, oh, wow.
And a chat has pretty much spoken.
Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, with more votes coming in.
We're in agreement.
But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know where you disagree with us. We'd love to know in the comments below. And with that, that's the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
Well, we love you.
And see you tomorrow.